Thank you, JK sir. And in 2 minutes' time, we come to the conclusion of our seventh session. That is, we are into 24th hour or the eighth session of our program, which is also the concluding session. I welcome all the students back here because you have hardly had any sleep, but that's worth it, I guess. So we are expecting our guest speakers in the next session, which I would like to welcome in a few minutes' time. We'll be joined by Shinani from Finland. She is a youth climate activist and GIS analyst at Argonaut, Finland. Argonaut is a company that invented GIS and satellite mapping for the forest assets. And we had their CEO, Tuomo Karunen, in the afternoon session. Then we'll be joined by Rashmi. She is one of my oldest students, and when it went online beginning 2000, she was a part of it. Now she is an advocate and she is a NGT senior counsel based at Kolkata in Eastern region. So NGT National Green Tribunal, which has a law and job of the implementation of green advocacy and green laws in India. So she will tell you more about it. Then we'll be joined by a very young climate activist, Sakshi Sri. She is an UN Youth Delegate and Global Youth Ambassador for the award. Then our Argentinian friends will join in from Buenos Aires and remote parts of Argentina, Ana Prieto and their students that will be making a presentation. Followed by Brigitta, who is a Nat Geo explorer, young explorer, which is very young, just like one of you. She's also on Youth Leadership Council for the Earth Eco International. And she is doing some good work on oceans around the world, especially in Indonesia, currently living in Australia. At 11 o'clock, we'll be joined by our environmental education specialist from Environment Online, Mary from Finland straight away. Joined also by Dr. Chaim Yudin, who is the head of Blue Economy and Climate Change Clusters, National Maritime Foundation, manned by nobody else than the Vice Admiral of our Navy, former Vice Admirals, Dr. Pradeep. You have already met him in the last events also. And they will tell you about what else the Navy does apart from keeping the coastal safe for the country. And in the concluding session, we'll have Mrs. Pratibha Prahlad, who you already met in the annual day function. She is the Padam Shri awarded and an eminent dancer, and also by Atul Bagai, who was till March 31st, who was the country head of United Nations in India. So after that, we'll be following the closing ceremony. So you see the pending guest list, and Janet is still here. I'm very thankful to you, Janet, for you haven't had sleep for 24 hours, but still you are tuned into our program. So very many thanks, and we hope to connect with you for future programs also. And maybe the art of storytelling, you can do a little workshop with our kids as well sometime in future whenever you're a bit free. Those who joined us late, Janet does a lot of work with Hollywood celebrities as well, and she has created lots and lots of students how to tell stories using small bits of narratives from here and there. And it's actually an art that she has developed to the kids and they've got into successful professions. So thank you, Janet, once more. Again, if you can stay on, you're more than welcome. Otherwise, we'll catch you any day, anytime for our further sessions. Thank you so much for being with us. Now I'll be handing over to Shinani. Her title is a little difficult for me to pronounce. She is from Sri Lanka, but currently in Finland, studying at the University of Eastern Finland. And she specializes in GIS, which she will tell you more about it. Welcome, Shinani.
Hello, everyone. I'm Shehani. I'm originally from Sri Lanka. Currently, I'm living in Finland. I'm passionate about environmental conservation. And first of all, I would like to thank Rajiv and whole organizing committee for creating this amazing platform and giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts to this platform. So today I'm excited to share about my thoughts on boreal peatlands and why they're important in our fight against climate change. So yeah, let's.
Shani, before you begin, I would like to show you folk dance from your country, which was created especially for the event last year by my Sri Lankan friends. We have some great friends in Sri Lanka. So can I request the track V34 to be played? I think Shani will like it.
Yeah, sure.
V34.
Sri Lankan Kandyan traditional dance is a mirror that reflects the Sri Lankan culture. The main costume of the Kandyan dance troupe, which was started by the King Malaya, is a West Anduma. Only men wear this costume and women wear paingpat. Now, Rangani Saditma, a student of Asian Grammar School, will be presenting the traditional Kandyan dance wearing the paingpat. She will be accompanied by the student Lithira Buanaka playing the gatabere, an instrument of the Kandyan dance tradition.
Shihani, can you hear me? Janet, that was a folk dance from Sri Lanka, which was prepared especially by our Sri Lankan friends. And I hope because Shihani is from Sri Lanka, so I thought she will like it.
Yeah, sure. It is really amazing. Yeah, nice to see that dancing,
Okay.
traditional
And
dance.
Shihani, I know we had the last minute connect, so I put you on this guest list. And you're lucky because this session was to be headed by, we had the inaugural session was chaired by CBSC Secretary, which is the largest education board in the world with 27,000 schools, Mr. Himanshu Gupta. And this session was to have Dr. Joseph Emmanuel, who is the head of the second largest board in India, which is the Council for Indian School Certificate Examinations. But as they are busy people and they're caught up with some work, so last minute. So we have Shihani, and I now hand it over to you. You have more time for your presentations and maybe questions from our students. So please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Raju. I will share my screen now. Okay, I think you can see my screen now.
Yes. And while Shihani, I will interrupt you for a second. As I sent to conversation, maybe you can tell the students about peatlands because not many of them don't know that this is one of the ecosystem, one of the 8 ecosystems in the world. So maybe you can tell them about a little bit of peatlands first, and then you can go ahead with your presentations.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, then let's explore this amazing world of boreal peatlands and see how climate change is impacting on them. First, I would like to introduce what are those peatlands. So, peatlands are unique wetland ecosystems, and they are having kind of characterized by waterlogged conditions, and also they are having accumulate a peat layer at the surface of the wetland. So all the wetlands are not peatlands, but all the peatlands are kind of unique wetlands. Even though the peatlands cover only a small portion of the earth, they store more carbon than any other terrestrial ecosystem. So they are very important in our fight against climate change. So let's move on to boreal peatlands. So boreal peatlands, also known as northern peatlands. So they are found in northern hemisphere. So particularly boreal peatlands are found in boreal and subarctic regions of North America, Europe, and Asia. So they store a significant portion of the world carbon pool. They might not be as well known as rainforest or coral reefs, but they are equally important for our planet's health. Water source is the major factor determining the type of boreal peatlands. So based on the water source, we can categorize them into 2 groups as bogs and fens. So bogs are majorly fed by precipitation, so rainfall, and fens receive water from both precipitation and also groundwater. So these peatlands are full of mosses, sedges, shrubs, and small trees. So these unique ecosystems provide home to many rare plants and animals. So this boreal peatland as a large carbon sink, and also peatlands help regulate water and provide habitats. If we don't protect these unique ecosystems, we could lose unique species. Climate change is warming these areas, causing peat to decompose faster and release carbon. Drier conditions and thawing permafrost also release more carbon. So, this leads to changes in vegetation and more frequent fires. So, how can we help? We can protect existing peatlands and also restore drained ones and manage fires and keep learning about these important ecosystems. What can you do? So take action for a better future. You can learn more about climate change and peatlands and share your knowledge with your friends and family. Support conservation projects and sustainable practices. Participate in local and global environmental efforts. So let's work together to protect our planet. Thank you for listening, and I hope together we can make a difference.
Thank you, Shinani. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from any of the participants? Any students who want to put up a question? Put your hands up, please. I think they're all sleepy right now. Anyone? Jagriti, you want to ask a question?
So it was quite an insightful presentation. It made everything clear. So I do not have as such query.
Okay, thank you. So Shinani, tell me your travel to Finland. How did you land from Sri Lanka to Finland all the way?
Yeah, actually, I completed my bachelor's in Sri Lanka in forestry sector and also worked in Ministry of Agriculture for 2 years as a developing officer in agroforestry projects. So after that, I wanted to pursue my higher studies in masters in forestry. So I applied for master's degree in forestry at University of Eastern Finland. So fortunately, I got the Finland scholarship. So that after that, I moved to Finland and completed my master's in forestry. So last month I was graduated as a forestry graduate from University of Eastern Finland. And after that, I joined with Arbonat as a GIS analyst. So now I'm currently working in GIS field. Yeah.
Great. We are great to hear about University of Eastern Finland used to be University of UNSO before that. And it does a lot of great work on environmental sector as well. And currently we are working in cooperation with the Japanese government for Net Zero Carbon Conference. And UAE is very much involved with Kaya Saramaki heading that department over there. So it's good to connect from UNSO and University of Eastern Finland and from Argonaut. So there's so many connections go together well. So thank you so much for joining us. Be here. Do you want to share anything else that you want to with the students or for your future endeavors and what you have in mind? How you think, because you are a young climate activist as well as a GIS specialist as well. So how do you think this technology and climate action can work together with, especially with people who are not directly related? I mean, everybody has to use technology, everybody has to environmentally aware, and everybody has to take in climate actions. So how you can do that also? Like Janet is there and she is integrating her storytelling capabilities into generating climate action, environmental awareness also. So how you think you will be able to contribute being a specialist at technical things?
Yeah, actually, mainly working we are with forestry. So forests are kind of now in a huge threat with the climate change and all the maybe anthropogenical impacts, I mean human activities. So with the GIS, we are actually mainly doing the forest mapping. So we want to map how the forest cover currently in, and we compared with the previous maps, I mean how the deforestation rates happening. So we can then using this new technology, I mean with GIS, and there are new technologies at LiDAR techniques, so we can clearly map and forest cover how the deforestation happening in currently deforestation rates. So it will really affect on, the global carbon pool, because we know there are a lot of rainforest and forest cover in whole world. So with the technology, we can accurately guess how the deforestation happening, and we can implement more our strategies on to protect our forest and other land use areas. So I think with the technology, we can implement more strategies than using our traditional knowledge. Yeah, with the combining all these things, we can hope we can protect our world and to contribute to more greener future.
But Shani, I have a technical question. I know when Argonaut built up this technology, it was the only company in the world which it did, because Dr. Tuomo is a specialist himself. He's a PhD in applied mathematics. But how can technology help if it is not affordable, not reachable by poor people like us, poor environmentalists and climate activists around the globe? And it has to reach many, many, many people. Otherwise, things don't become effective. Now, GIS was used for forest mapping by Argonaut, but actually because the technology, it has huge cost implications. So only the governments, only the big companies can do that also. So how do you think, as a young climate activist, that these companies need to take a bit of initiative for climate funding, or reach out, maybe a small portion of it, 5% or 10% of it, to reach out to this organizations, the little organizations, little people on the ground level who can actually inflate this climate action into a big thing, big movement? What's your view on that?
Actually, also, I'm also having that kind of idea. I'm also from a developing country, from Sri Lanka. So when my time at the Sri Lanka, when I was a graduate, undergraduate at the university, I also didn't have kind of opportunity to access for that kind of GIS, advanced GIS technologies like here, Finland, because after I moving to Finland, I got the exposure to a lot of new technologies like GIS. So that thing is, I think a lot of companies should make more like awareness, kind of training programs for young crowd, because they are very enthusiastic in the technology. The young people, and I can see a lot of young souls here. Maybe they are also enthusiastic about what is GIS and those technology. So I think a lot of companies get together and should make kind of training programs. So maybe go into these schools, and maybe they can organize some kind of training programs for these developing countries, so other to reach them. So I think also Abonat also they are having had some kind of training programs doing in developing countries like Africa and other, I think Nepal also. So maybe they have to go more into that developing countries if they got funding, and because the funding is a lot of strategy. When we are going to implement that kind of a huge project. Yeah.
Funding is a technical issue, so obviously companies don't want to do that, but there's other ways also. Have you heard of Restore?
Sorry?
Have you heard of Restore? RESTOR.
Restore.
Okay. Have you?
No.
Okay. This is a very nice initiative because this is some of the interest areas twined together. So actually, Restore is an organization which was founded by Thomas Crother, who is a good friend of us. He is the founding chair of UN Decade on Restoration, along with Tim Christopherson. And Tim Christopherson was with the UNEP, and he was there in our program also last year when the UN Decade on Restoration was launched in 2020. And he is a professor at ETH Zurich, ETH Zurich is a public university which gathers environmental DNA on biodiversity. So the good initiative they have done, and as I was asking how big companies can contribute. So what they have done, they tied up with Google and they created this platform called Restore. Now Restore does similar kind of work. Forest mapping, not forest mapping, geographical mapping along with Google. So if like a community or organization like our NGO or maybe young climate activists, they want to do some tree planting, some forest mapping, they don't have to go to any company, they don't have to buy anything. They simply create an account. They just make a small rectangle on the blue, map the area they want to assess, and the restore pulls out all the data using a Google and the GI satellite mapping technology and throws information at you. So you know exactly what kind of native trees can be planted, how many trees are there, how much carbon is there, how much water is available. So you have every single data which is needed for replanting, reforestation, for rewilding, free of cost. So companies have to think a little bit ahead of their their businesses and move into little bit of support for reaching out more populations at the younger level, at the level of public masses, and things can really change. Tim Christopherson is now with Salesforce and he's actually into climate funding. So they are pressing companies, big organizations to actually go ahead and use their technological advancements, use their resources and tools to reach out to more people, engage more people directly or indirectly. So it was an interesting conversation with you. Thank you so much, Yani, with being with us. And you are a young climate activist, so we engage in conversation. We hope to see you again. And since Tuomo is there, we have already bugging him to get involved with more areas. He works in Nepal. India also, they have a Kaza was there with Kaza Gunia was there with us last year. So we will be something working out for this young students as well. So thank you so much, Janet. Again, thank you so much. You're staying still now. We are headed into the next half an hour, which is will be joined by Rashmi and Sakshi Sri. So waiting for them to join in. And meanwhile, if you have any, Janet, you have any concluding comments? You want to say something more?
I'm thoroughly enjoying learning about all of these initiatives. It really warms my heart. I don't feel so alone.
Okay. No, you're not alone. We are part of the same story.
Good.
Okay. Meanwhile, I would like to show you a small video. Is an environmental song performed by a very small kid. So we have 2 or 3 minutes left for this half an hour. So can I request JK sir to play this track V10? The beautiful song, you will like it.
Let's see what we can do, save the planet for me and you. Let's see what we can do, save the planet for me and you. E-A-R-T-H, planet Earth is a happy place. E-A-R-T-H, planet Earth is a happy place. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Let's see what we can do to save the planet for me and you. Let's see what we can do to save the planet for me and you. E is for environment, keep it clean. If we stand together, we'll make the best team. A is for the animals that we love, swimming and walking and flying above. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Let's see what we can do to save the planet for me and you. Let's see what we can do to save the planet for me and you. R is for recycle or use it again. Separate your trash into the right bin. T is for traveling every day. Leave the car and rather walk this way. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Let's see what we can do to save the planet for me and you. Let's see what we can do to save the planet for me and you. H is for
Welcome, Sakshi. And I have two young people joining this session. Rashmi, can you switch on your camera, please? Okay. I have Sakshi Sri. She is the Global Youth Ambassador for their world and UNU delegate, very young and very active. And I have Rashmi. She is one of my students for a long time. We started this environment online 20 years back. And currently she works as senior counsel for this National Green Tribunal. And she will tell you more about first of NGT first, and then her role and maybe a case study. So this half an hour session is divided between the two of you. Manage it because at 10 o'clock sharp we'll be joined by our Argentinian friends from Buenos Aires. And Janet is here. She works with celebrities, storytelling, and lots of other things. It's very difficult for me to describe. She has been here for a long time for Chicago. So Rashmi, over to you quickly. You can go ahead. You have 15-minute slot and then followed by Sakshi Sri.
A very good morning to everybody who's present here. Thank you so much, sir. It's been a long association, and today I'm glad to be speaking to students about the role of the NGT. So I'll start without any further delay since I have very limited time. So,
Can I interrupt you for 2 minutes because I need to share your story with this small kids class grade 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I remember Rashmi
sure,
was
sure.
in grade 6 or 7 when she was in the school, and we started this environment online in 2000. When internet was a scarcity, you did not have internet connection. They had to go to the lab and they had allotted 10 minutes time to access their labs. The emails were printed on a piece of paper and handed over to them in the school next day because it was a boarding school. And I have some pictures, but maybe we'll share it later on. And that journey for 24 years has now turned into a big environmental campaign all around the world. So over to you, Rashmi, again.
Thank you, sir. So, given how far we've come, earlier the environmental disputes used to be adjudicated by fora like the High Court, the Supreme Court. Then it was realized that there is a need for a specific court to establish a specific forum to adjudicate these issues. Therefore, the National Green Tribunal Act was passed in 2010 to dispose of all civil cases relating to environmental protection and conservation of forests and other natural resources, including enforcement of any legal rights relating to the environment. So what does this NGT have jurisdiction over? So jurisdiction is restricted to civil cases where a substantial question relating to environment is involved. And such question arises out of the implementation of the enactments which are given in Schedule 1 of the Act. Now, what are these acts? What are the acts as per Schedule 1? So there's the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act. There's Forest Conservation Act. There is Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act. There is Environment Protection Act, Public Liability Insurance Act, Biological Diversity Act. Now, all of these issues are covered by the NGT. Now, I will not go into the technical bits of it, but I want to talk about where all NGTs are located. So you have national green tribunals in each zone. So you have a principal bench which sits in Delhi. Then you have a West Zone NGT which is in Pune. Then you have a Central Zone NGT which is in Bhopal. You have a Southern Zone NGT in Chennai and an Eastern Zone NGT in Kolkata, where I practice. Now, what are the substantial questions relating to the environment which are dealt with by the NGT? So, anything with regard to the acts which I've mentioned, any direct violation or specific environmental obligations which are violated are dealt with by this court or tribunal. Any grievances by the community at large, other than individual or group of individuals which are affected or likely to be affected by environmental consequences, any damage which is caused to the environment or property to the public at large is also adjudicated upon by this tribunal, and the damage to public health is also adjudicated upon by this tribunal. As a result of these environmental consequences, there have been a lot of landmark judgments which have been passed. So, what happens when a particular grievance is taken to the NGT? The NGT will then hear both the sides. They will try and assess the nature of the environmental complaint. They will seek reports from the governmental departments as to whether that damage which is being alleged has actually taken place. Thereafter, they come to a finding and then pass orders to the particular polluter or the person causing the damage or the industry causing the damage to provide relief, compensation, or restitution. Now, what are the heads under which compensation and relief can be claimed? In case there is any permanent damage to the land or to the people around, or there is any temporary or partial disability or sickness which has taken place due to the consequences of the environment pollution, or if there is a loss of wages, or if there are medical expenses which have been occurred due to the treatment of the injuries or sickness, or if there has been, like I said earlier, damage to private property. So, if in case these things are taking place, then those claims can arise, and claims can arise on account of any harm. Any harm or damage to the environment means that you can go claim for compensation and ask the NGT to assess your claim. Now, a lot of landmark cases, which I was talking about earlier, have taken place across India. I'll give you examples of some landmark cases. Even you, as students, as active citizens of the country, being active protectors of the environment. I'm guessing all of you are attending ACT now because you are concerned about the environment around you and are concerned with the sustainability which we want to maintain. So therefore, I would strongly urge you all that you should be wary and you should look out for the environment around you. You should see if there's any damage taking place. If there is something worthy of being taken to the tribunal, you must be active citizens and you must go to the tribunal, file a case, and anybody can file a case. It's very simple. So today I'm here to tell you what the procedure is. Again, very, very simple procedure. You go to the NGT website, everything is online. You file an application in the format given. Whoever is interested in filing a complaint or a case with the National Green Tribunal, you can contact me. I can help you. And of course, you being students, your grievances will be taken seriously by the NGT because you have no vested interest. So I am here to help you. You can contact me. My email address can be obtained from Rajiv sir. I can guide you as to how to draft the application, how to file it. All the technicalities can be taken care of by me. Rajiv sir.
Just a second, just hold on. Sorry, yes, madam.
So these are students of standard 6th, 7th, and 8th.
No, they're all sorts of students. I said they are students from all grades. They are youth activists. They're all ages. So I mean, there are a lot of is being watched by almost 10,000 people all over the world. So some of them on the screen. So there are students from class 12 graders, the 11 graders, 10 graders, their teacher, their principals. So you take any answer any which way.
Okay.
One thing I
So
would
say-
want you to emphasize on, because a lot of girls want to India, a lot of girls want to go into law. They appearing for CLAD, but mostly their law aspirations come from Netflix movies where the American lawyers and the European lawyers look so handsome and so powerful.
But
But
now we have our own Indian series as well. It's called
Okay.
Mamla Legal Hai.
So yes. And one of my beauty queens is actually acting in one of these series also. So I needed to tell them because Indian law courts are, I mean, we want young people to go there and change some of the system from inside. It's not so rosy, so they must be prepared for all the challenges that come across their way. One way is to go into environmental laws, corporate law. Environmental law, corporate law is also very flimsy in India. You know that it doesn't happen like it happens in US and the European countries. So, but maybe one of the areas they can practice is environmental laws because we have less experts there. As a growing area, every company, entire world needs some lawyers who are practiced, who are well versed with environmental laws of the country. So maybe you can give a take because you are practicing, you are an advocate, you are a lawyer, you are an NGT counselor, and you have been an environmental activist also from a very young age. So maybe you can guide them through a little bit using your angle.
Sure. So, can we make this session interactive if the students have any questions with regard to this? Otherwise, I
Students
will
are
tell
like
them.
that. You have to take them on to ask questions. I keep on posting. Ask any question you want to. Rashmi is just like a student team. Okay, hands up, please. You never know what is the repercussions of asking a question to a lawyer. Okay, Arya.
Yeah, greetings, ma'am. I would like to ask
Good morning.
about a particular act or other acts in general. Are these to conserve the nature or like do these create statements for us that we have to limit our upsource or limit our use of the natural resources till a limit? Or are these acts given to improvise upon the nature? Is this restricting or is this revitalizing or reworking?
So, to answer your question, it actually has a bit of both. And, it's available on indiacode.nic.in. I will share the link on the chat box. You can access these acts, you can read it. It's written in very simple English. So, what they actually intend to do is these acts. They are to protect the environment and to restrict any kind of violation. So, if you say revitalizing, of course they want to conserve the environment, so these are enacted with the objective of conserving the environment, of not of penalizing the violators, of not having people flout the rules and the regulations. So therefore it has a bit of everything, so it's a hybrid, I would say, of both protection, conservation, and penalizing the violators. So it's got a bit of everything.
I think if
So
I understand it correctly, what happened, a lot of environmental issues of late started. It was established in 2012 or when? NGT?
2010.
2010. What happened, a lot of environmental issues started coming to the courts. Now, courts were not specialized to deal with environmental issues. So there was a body that was created called NGT, isn't it, Rashmi?
Yes. Like
Because
I had already said that
Okay.
high courts and supreme courts were not able to deal with the specific environmental issues at length. Therefore, the NGT was brought in, as Sir has very rightly said, to deal with these specific environmental issues.
So like there is a case comes up like there is a highway to be built and 30,000 trees to be cut down. Now, a court cannot decide whether the road is necessary or the trees are necessary. So NGT comes in picture because they have the expertise to find out whether the road is necessary there and whether the cutting or felling of trees will be relevant to making of the road. So that is where the NGT comes in picture. And all these concerns are directed to NGT directly and they're empowered to take all decisions just like a High Court or Supreme Court can do, isn't it?
Absolutely. Also, I'll give some examples. So there was, effectiveness of mangrove conservation. There was enforcement of mangrove protection laws, which had actually been passed by the NGT, because in 2018, NGT ordered Gujarat, the state of Gujarat, to enforce the coastal regulation zone rules for coastal mangrove protection. Then legal action was taken against the violators. Demolition of unauthorized structures near mangroves was directed. Active role in monitoring the conditions of mangroves was directed in the eastern zone. Local communities were involved in mangrove conservation. They had laid down guidelines as to what the locals can do. So this is just one example for with respect to mangrove protection. Now, what is the effectiveness of these NGT orders? Are they appealable? Are they not appealable? So the only appellate authority is Supreme Court. If you are aggrieved by an NGT order, if you feel that an NGT order has been passed in a wrongful manner, you can approach the Supreme Court. But I am very happy to say that till now the number of NGT appeals has been limited to less than 100. So there has been less than 100 NGT appeals, which means it clearly shows the efficacy and the effectiveness of the NGT's orders and how it has been implemented. So forest conservation is another area which I wanted to talk about, which has been dealt with in details by the NGT. So the NGT has stopped construction activities in environmentally sensitive hill areas. There has been complete halt of construction by the NGT in eco-sensitive zones. Like for example, you all must be knowing about the Rohtang Pass. So all construction activities around the Rohtang Pass eco-sensitive zone have been completely stopped since 2015. This has been done by the NGT. NGT has regulated mining activities. For example, there has been a ban on all mining activities in Aravalli Hills of Haryana and Rajasthan. So it was quite an active mining sector back then. But post 2016, the NGT has heavily regulated these mining activities. And if it interferes with the flora and fauna, it is just not allowed. There is a clear demarcation of where these mining activities can take place and where it cannot take place. So this has immensely helped in the conservation of the flora and fauna of the Aravalli Hill region of Haryana and Rajasthan. Then there has been restoration of ecologically sensitive zones. In 2020, NGT directed the states of Maharashtra and Goa to take measures to restore and protect the eco-sensitive zones of the Western Ghats. Now, the NGTs also promoted afforestation initiatives. The NGT directs the state government to undertake large-scale afforestation. This has also been directed in Uttarakhand. Effectiveness of these forest conservation methods have been largely seen in national parks. For example, I'll give you live examples. So there has been permanent closure of the night market at Jal Mahal and Nahargarh Wildlife Sanctuary. There has been a closure of 36 illegal hotels around the Rajaji Tiger Reserve. So this is the kind of impact that the NGT is having. It has shut down 36 hotels which were operating since years because these are interfering with the movement of the elephants and the tigers at the Rajaji Tiger Reserve. Directives have also been issued to prevent damage to forests within protected areas. For example, stopping felling of trees by the UP government in Pilibhit Tiger Reserve in 2019. Then there has also been monitoring of ecological impact of development activities near national parks. For example, the eco-restoration efforts in the vicinity of the Mahendragiri Wildlife Sanctuary in Orissa. Everything was completely monitored. The entire restoration process in that particular wildlife sanctuary was completely monitored by the NGT. Now, closer home for me, which is because I practice in the eastern zone, the Kaziranga National Park, which we all must have heard about, which houses the one-horned rhino. There was a huge issue of animals crossing the road and losing their lives due to vehicular traffic. so therefore there has been a bridge which has been created so that animal movement does not get affected and the vehicles can pass through that bridge.
Rashmi, I have a quick question. We are cutting into Sakshi's time, so you won't be very happy. But this, I mean, we need a longer session with you. NGT only takes up the matter that it is the matter is referred to it, isn't it? Can it take
Correct.
Suomoto
No,
cognizance?
but it takes Suomoto cognizance as well. When it feels that something is not going right and no one has filed any application to that effect, then it takes Suomoto cognizance.
Okay, why you are asking this question? Because currently there is an ongoing controversy. Of course, we had the election results yesterday, so it may not be happening so soon. In UP, they have been planning to clear about 40,000 trees in order to make a way for Kawad Yatra. See, in this Shiv Puja, what happens that there's a lot of Kawads who just occupy all the highways, expressways, and the traffic is pathetic in 1 month. I mean, it takes hours and hours to get through. To solve that problem, instead of because it's a religious issue. It's a religious issue. You can't do anything about it these days. But I have suffered that also from traveling here to Moradabad or to Bareilly or to Lucknow. It takes out 8 or 6 hours, which will only take 2 or 3 hours. So they are planning it, but it hasn't come to NGT, something like that. Also on this Rajaji National Park, I have a very good friend, Mr. Pushkar Malik, who is the managing India director of MSV International, which is the company that offsources all highway construction on behalf of Canadian US company. So they make all the highways. They are currently making this Dehradun and Delhi Expressway, and they made so many other ways also. So because their commercial interests are there, so we always have this deep engagement. He says, okay, we'll make it this 200 kilometers road and we'll cut down 80,000 trees, but we'll also replant 2 million trees. And I keep on telling them, you cannot replace natural forests. So one tree cut down cannot be replaced by 100 trees planted. Just like you cannot replace your mother and replace with 3 next mothers, new mothers. It cannot be done like that. So first, to minimize the impact on the climate itself, minimize where you cannot. So I think NGT is doing a fantastic job, but maybe it needs to be a little more powerful and be more aggressive, because we know what is happening. We are suffering 52 degrees centigrade in Delhi. And it is known fact that wherever there is a green patch, the temperature is always low. So I'm also joined by, she's not a speaker today, but Supriya Sinha. She was my head girl in my Dehradun school, and she is working very actively in the environmental and climate action. She currently works with the Haryana Right to Services Act, which means if there is a public being dealt unfavorably by the government, they can take up the case, because if it is their fundamental right, they will assure you that it gets to you. So Supriya, welcome here. You're not a speaker, so I can't give you time, but I will bring in Sakshi.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Statement. And there are 2 students. Rashmi was my student at Assam Valley. She was a very young student in environment online when she was just in class grade 6. She's currently consul with NGT and a very good student.
Sir, if I may correct you, we started in class 6.
Class 6. So because there are 2 of them on the screen, so I'm so happy we're still in connection after 24 on a cause and on a topic that we are genuinely interested in and also working for. So Supriya, one single line for you, and then I'll bring in Sakshi because he's waiting for her turn, and we've already.
Thank you so much, and I'll share my email address in case anybody has any questions. You can get in touch.
Yes, they'll be referring all the cases to Eastern Zone, and you can forward from Eastern Zone to Western Zone and circle it around. But somebody has to take up those cases.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir, for the opportunity.
Sure. Sakshi, over to you.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. And thank you, Rajiv sir, for giving me the opportunity to see in front of you and have a chat with you all. And very first thing that we all are gathered here because of only one thing, that is climate change and environment. So wishes you a World Environment Day, because this is the day which we call it as a festival when we see the world environment as a very specific thing, when we call it as a Diwali or Eid. So this is for our climate advocates and the activists as a festival into it. So yeah. Hello, everyone. And before I go into the content of what I really want to talk about, I really have a very less number of time, but yes, I'll try to.
Sakshi, just a 10-second interruption. I have on the screen Anna Prito, because we have to borrow a little minute from her. Anna Prito is a good friend of mine from Argentina. She is a fantastic biology expert. She's a professor, and we have done many things together. I've been to her place also in Argentina in a remote location. So welcome, Argentina. As soon as Sakshi finishes, it's your turn, your student's turn. Okay, welcome again. Sakshi.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really happy to see all of the diverse locations to be connected over here. And before I really go into the content of what I really want to talk about, I also want to take a moment to remember all of the young peace builders which are on the front line. And as we speak, there are many young peoples in Somalia, in Iraq, Colombia, Libya, or even Israel and Palestine who are really working on the various ways to promoting the peace and in their communities. So mediating the conflicts in among the tribal people or the armed groups and really advocating even peacekeeping in the some sort of advanced or the complex humanitarian setting. So I take this a moment to remember the sacrifices and bravery and courage of young builders around the world. And also, I want to say a big, really big hello to all of the young peacemakers or the builders and the young activists over here. So, which are from the around the world. Yes. And I got the opportunity to participate recently, very recently, in the COP28 and UNIA 6, which is the United Nations Environment Assembly, with regard to the marine conservation as well as the armed conflict, which we really have achieved to some extent, what we are recommending or what we were negotiating at that point of time. And these are held in two different locations. COP28 was in UAE, and then after UNEA was in the Nairobi, which is very recently in the February month. And I got very much experience over there, and I must assure that what we are really working on, it should be recognized in some water extent. And so, with that in my mind, and with all these experiences that I am currently holding, so I refer to in this to make you all aware what we are currently working on, what we should work on related to the climate change, and so very basic question I asked over there in with the people over around the world, which are gathered over there as well, to have certain negotiations to work on the changes, what needs to be done and what to be catered. So I asked that, what do you think about the peace? And everyone responded differently because their answers are very different from one to another. For one, he said that I want to get married to the person I love. One said that freedom of expression. Very rarely the people said that there is an absence of conflict. So, what my question and my conclusion of this part is that peace for all of us looks very different to one another. And why I am saying all these things, because I am the contact focal point of the climate peace and security, how peace and security will affect the climate change, and how we should take the peace and security into consideration into the climate change as a factor. And this is where I jump to my point that if we are not going to say that the climate change is interlinked with the peace and security, so there is a healthy planet, decent planet. This is the verb or the vocabulary we usually say: healthy planet, a livable planet. Then is this in the next 20 to 30 years? How are we even going to talk about peace if this is not going to happen? When somebody asks you that, what do you want to be in the future? Everyone will be asked somewhat or other that what do you want in the future, and how we can even think of 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years down the line when we don't even know if we are going to have certain broader concept of living or into the planet or what we are going to have in this coming years. So we really need to put it down that this is the context and this is the reality, this is the thing, and how we see peace and the broader concept and the concept that allows us to live a livable or peaceful life, having a very well-being as human being assured. So very basic point that I really want to highlight over here. When we go specifically into the climate change, in the case that we are unable to listen to the science and act on the science, and keeping the temperature rise below 1.5 degrees Celsius, consequences will be dire, really dire. And the young people like us will have our future in a very detrimental situation, very. And so, with that, all of these things, we have seen how we take this very opportunity and take this very seriously to come across this street to demand for actions from all over the leaders and the world leaders to say that this is to be considered and this is the main focus limelight. I think the good news is that we are the largest generation in the world. So our world has never been this young. I must show that because this is the study that I have did recently, and half of the world's population right now is under 30 years. So that's a good news for all of us. So we need to use this art as a power, and we are also the most educated generation of young people. So we are also very aware of climate change, climate action than the generations before us. So everyone over here, I am hoping that now the question in your mind is always remains that how peace and security is relevant to the climate change and how it is going to impact that. So it is very basic thing that it is a very thin line that connects the peace and security and the climate action. So it is inherently about the peace, and no peace is possible without the climate justice. Because if there is no planet, how will you say that okay, the war will be ended? So this is not the case, and both the climate action and the peace building concern the future of people and the planet. So, and action in the local level. And I'm really proud of all of you over here because you are the young generation, we are the young generation, and we are currently working on these kind of areas. And we are saying that, okay, this is the where there is a lack, and this is the local level that we should make it a key. And there is a need for people centric approaches rather than just to sit on a chair and saying that okay, we are going to have certain people, but this is our people to people connect. This is, and thank you for all this arrangement because we are going to have a chat. And also we are having to say that this is the approaches we are going to ensure the climate negotiations, peace processes, and by the local voices, not the only the elite people who are saying that okay, this is the good thing, this is the bad thing. Because we are encouraging both of the sections, the leaders, the policymakers, the local voices, as well as the youth generation to make it forward. So I am the contact focal point for the UNFCCC Peace and Security, the youngest one. So and also had a opportunity to work on the research department as well. So we had a fortunate in the first hand to see how this transformative power of youth engagement really works. And so my point is that how we can conclude this part and how we say that what are the solutions to make this climate security and diplomacy. So there are few things we can do, we really can do. One is that we can participate into the projects that is coming up and that is working on. Even recently, SB60 is going on. So we are going to have our negotiations. We have already put forward our recommendations. And when a COP29 is coming up, where we are going to participate and saying that these are the recommendations of what we can do or what we can't do. Even we are also working on several other demands that is very necessary. For example, highlighting my recent demand that stressing the decision one of the para 25, where we say that loss and damage associated with the diverse climate impacts, and parties must acknowledge the climate action and based on the conflict sensitivity and how we can work on these mainstreaming the climate sensitivity into the projects and the policies. The second thing that we also had a demand to protect the rights of the climate migrants and the displaced person, because human rights is very necessary these days. And this is very vulnerable to say, and it's very harsh to put forward into words that conflicts are exacerbated by the climate impacts. And the second thing that I guess I had a demand, like we all had a demand because we were the representative of the young people. So we are calling that decisions to be reaffirmed into the critical role of the multilateralism that to address the global issues. Even parties, we said that parties must create economic opportunities and training for the youth to reduce the drivers of conflict. Because what I have seen that after graduation or after coming forward with the post graduation, people say that we are unemployed or we are willing to work, but we are not getting the work that we really want. So we were seeing that what kind of issues that they are currently not having. Even we have created the green jobs where, during the UNEP headquarter when we had a visit. So we had created the campaign on green jobs, and we have said that in the climate action, there is no one which is not getting any opportunity. They are going to have the training for the youth, and skill development is must. So these are the basic things that we really are going to have, and we are working on it to make it a more better or the more concerned way. So, and we also have the point with the social media as a tool that helps us connect with each other from one country to the other. And we are having it most of the parts. So from the other part of the world, we are also connecting with other people, as we can see in this platform as well. So it is as a tool that we hold the policymakers accountable. And with all of this connected, I believe that our generations, even the millennials and the Gen Zs together, can create a real wave that can have the huge wave that can turn into the tide and that can move the direction of huge titanic system. And we have in our world today by the our political to social to economic models. I remember one of the thing that I've said by Sada Islama, which is the commentator at that point of time at Brussels, and she told me that if you really want to work on the things, and the very basic thing that I have seen over that point of time, that she told me that if you want to be a diplomat, Sakshi, then you really have to work on it, and don't worry what your ideas are, because millennials have different viewpoint and you have different viewpoint, so everything has a very differently way of notions that you really cater, and you have to address it very wisely, that you build your own innovation, you build your own ideas and make it through, because not all of them has the ideas and innovation, so we all can come together to work on this and to create a way. So I count on all of you to do the best in your individual capacity to act on climate action and the peace building and the peacekeeping. It could be that you join the strikes for the climate or protest for climate, which is very necessary, or you could just choose for the fundraise for the organization that really works. These are the ways to indulge into the climate action rather than climate just saying that climate change. It could be you could join the organizations like Act Now, which is you are in, and climate activism is one of the aspects that you can work on. Then you can also follow up the climate summit, online tweeting, and use the advocacy material. For example, advocacy material recently UNODA Vienna, that is the Disarmament Affairs. Office of Disarmament Affairs, United Nations. So they have also come up with the various reports, advocacy materials, even as SB60 subsidiary bodies of the meetings is going to have the global youth statements, which we are really working on. So we are going to raise our voices. You are going to raise your voices and push the leaders, our leaders, so that they can take the right action. They listen to the science and they are responsible and take the right action to ensure that we are the young people have the livable planet to live in. Yeah, that's it from my side. I'm really thankful for here.
Sakshi, so many thanks for your energetic talk, your meeting due, but you use the word millennial. So I
Yeah.
tell you something, and I borrow it from Tim Christopherson also. I am part of Generation X and born at 300 particles ppm. And back then, when we were born, computers were not really a thing. It happened very later on. And we talked about advanced technology. So we had a Star Trek. I don't know whether the kids watched that Star Trek or not, but we used to watch it. We were absolutely taken aback by the kind of technology used in there, which is a reality these days with the Tesla and everything running our life. But I'm also part of generation restoration. And whether you are a boomer, which is the rocket age, when the first rocket was launched, whether you are Generation X or Generation Z or millennial, it doesn't matter. And this very platform, this is the 5th edition, has brought together all ages, right from a KG nursery kid to somebody at the age of 80, from all walks of life, teachers, educationists, climate activists, United Nations, UNEP, young students, just for one cause. And we can all contribute towards generation restoration in our own way. We don't want to lean our shoulders on the governments, because policymakers can make policies. And that was a discussion we had with the UNEP a few years ago before MGCY was launched, the young brigade of UNEP, because they also realize policymakers make policies and they can do that. Governments have to implement those policies. But what happened? Government are tied to chairs and they won't give up their chair. So if the policy infringes in their occupying their chair, they will not implement it. So who it is left to? It is left to the people like us to press upon the governments, press upon our policymakers to immediate changes to implement as soon as possible because we are running out of time. But again, thank you so much for being here. You have a meeting, and I'm also flummoxed with the kind of books you have at your background. And trying to read the titles when you are up on the screen, all the titles that you have back in there. So all these young activists and everybody there, thank you so much, and we are looking forward to seeing more of you in more of our programs. We do not have time for questions for you, but maybe sometime in future. I have Anna Prito from Argentina joining before that. If you want to have a concluding line, go quickly, Sakshi.
Okay, I just have to one thing to say that if you the people over here have the questions, then you can forward it to me and I'll respond back with the answers so that you can forward to the other parts.
Okay, if you can wait for 2-3 minutes, then I would like to welcome our new guest and depart you with a theme song that we composed using artificial intelligence. People like us who did not were exposed to computers, we composed it using artificial intelligence. It's a beautiful song. JK sir, can you play track V1 for our next guest, Argentina, and for Sakshi also before she goes away?
Fine, fine, fine.
In a world so big, we often feel small, but together we can make a difference, standing tall. With every step we take, we're creating change, and now's the voice that echoes through the range. Rise up, let's make a stand for the earth and all its wonders. Hand in hand with the future, we hold the key. Together we can save the world, you and me. Ooh, yeah. Through the power of knowledge, we're lighting minds, spreading the message, one student at a time. From mountains to oceans, we'll protect the land. With that now, united we'll make a stand. We'll make a stand. In a world so big, we're small, but together we can make a difference, standing tall. With every step we take, we're creating change, and now's the voice that echoes through the range. Rise up, let's make a stand for the earth and all its wonders. Hand in hand with the future, we hold the key. Together we can save the world, you and me. Ooh, yeah. Through the power of knowledge, we're lighting minds, spreading the message, one student at a time. From mountains to oceans, we'll protect the land. With that now, united we'll make a stand. We'll make a stand. In a world so big, we're small, but together we can make a difference, standing tall. With every step we take, we're creating change, and now's the voice that echoes through the range. Rise up, let's make a stand for the earth and all its wonders. Hand in hand with the future, we hold the key. Together we can save the world, you and me. Ooh, yeah.
Thank you, JK sir. Thank you so much. Anna, JK is my very old friend from 20 years, and Ronnie will be joining in a few minutes. You already know him. We have our students and my good friend from Argentina, Buenos Aires, and we also expecting Bruno Siro from Buenos Aires. He is a climate advocate and human rights activist, but probably he has a bit of connectivity problem. So you have almost this entire session for you. And I welcome your students also, if I pronounce your name correctly, Eileen, Delario, Franco, and Joaquin. Joaquin has been to this program already, I think. Franco, maybe. And Eileen, I don't know. This is the first time. So Anna, over to you. You need help with the Spanish?
Ok. Es posible presentarse en español, chicos.
Yes, I
Saluden.
have Dr. Norma Munoz from Mexico. If she is still there, I would request her to help out with the Spanish translation, but I'm not sure whether she is currently available. But you can go on in your broken English. We
I
understand.
there, but I think I'm requesting her to for video. Just a minute.
Anna, go ahead anyway. I understand you.
I live in Junín de los Andes. My student is two, and one student live in Neuquén City, near 400 kilometers here. In this moment, work a lot.
Please go.
So, Anna, sorry, Dr. Norma Munoz is here. She is our good patron and she can help you with the Spanish.
Okay, Norma.
Hola.
Hola,
Hola.
Norma.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Hola.
Buenas tardes, noches.
Sí, aquí es buenas noches. Ya es muy tarde, los estudiantes están casi por dormirse, pero bueno, pueden presentarse, chicos, en español.
Hola, ¿cómo están?
Students,
Mi nombre es Franco Morroné y soy estudiante del Club de Ciencia Huichulasque. Un gusto.
those are the students from Ana. Adelante, por favor.
Sí.
Hola, yo soy Ailén, también soy estudiante del Club de Ciencias Huichulasquen.
Hola, ¿cómo están? Soy Joaquín Melo, también soy estudiante del Club de Ciencias Huachulasque.
Hola a
Gracias.
todos.
Oh, sorry. Perdón,
Así-
adelante.
No pasa nada. Hola a todos, soy Mateo Cawin y también soy parte de la Ciencia Huichulasque.
Aquí están todos. Yo además coordino el programa ENO en Argentina y tengo el Club de Ciencias Huachulasque en el que pertenecen mis estudiantes, que es un área
Okay.
informal de educación de ciencias.
Okay, Ana is working with these students that they are in the Club of Science, and she is the coordinator of this program, working with them constantly. Adelante, Ana.
Sí, nosotros vamos a presentar una investigación que hicimos con los estudiantes sobre cómo la regulación de los árboles con la temperatura en áreas urbanas, en una zona, en una ciudad muy pequeña que es Junín de los Andes.
Well, they're going to present a project that they were working in an urban area regarding the temperature of the forest of the trees.
No sé si el video lo pasa Rajib o lo pasamos nosotros.
You're gonna run out the video, Reggie?
Yes, we have the video.
Okay.
Um,
Please, thank you. Lo va a pasar él, Ana.
Ok, gracias Norma por traducir.
De
we
nada, no
have
hay problema.
V67. JK sir, we have V67 is a beautiful video. From yes.
Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches. En un ambiente internacional estamos desde distintos momentos del día. Yo soy Ana Prieto, la coordinadora del programa ENO Argentina, y les quiero mostrar en esta presentación un trabajo que hicimos con mis estudiantes. Vamos a hablar de los árboles en la Patagonia y específicamente qué pasa con los árboles urbanos. Si miramos en un bosque patagónico, vamos a ver una diversidad de especies muy grande, incluso hasta durante el otoño. Esas diferencias de colores también que estamos viendo nos están marcando la diversidad de especies, de cómo cada especie está respondiendo a los cambios de temperatura durante el otoño. Los dejo con mis estudiantes que le van a terminar de presentar este trabajo.
Los árboles urbanos. Aquí vemos los árboles de la plaza central de Junín de los Andes. Si nos alejamos y miramos la cobertura terrestre, notamos ambientes muy diferentes, sitios donde hay árboles y donde no hay. ¿Qué ocurre? En la cordillera de los Andes, las lluvias son más abundantes y van disminuyendo hacia el este. Tenemos la suerte de vivir cerca de bosques nativos. Los ambientes son muy diferentes. En el bosque, los árboles crecen naturalmente. Tenemos mayor diversidad de especies. En la ciudad, los árboles han sido plantados. La diversidad ha sido elegida por las personas. Los microclimas generados por los árboles son muy diferentes en un ambiente natural al de un ambiente urbano.
Otra parte de la cobertura terrestre alrededor de Junín de los Andes es de estepa. Hay plantaciones de pinos cerca de la ciudad y en algunas otras áreas. Las temperaturas son templadas, con temperaturas bajo cero en invierno. Las precipitaciones también se concentran en invierno. El gráfico 1 muestra también un resumen de los últimos 30 años. En gráfico 2 muestra las temperaturas y precipitaciones durante el año 2023. Nosotros estudiamos los árboles urbanos y su impacto en la temperatura. Considerando los cambios de la cobertura terrestre de los últimos años, se destaca el incremento en la urbanización, expandiéndose hacia áreas nuevas, donde no siempre hay suficientes espacios verdes. Aunque no están en un bosque, los árboles urbanos cumplen muchas funciones, como mejorar la calidad del aire, reducir el ruido, ayudar a conservar la biodiversidad, proporcionando hábitat para muchas especies. Nosotros vamos a concentrarnos en la regulación de la temperatura. En esta imagen podemos ver cómo las hierbas tienen menor temperatura que otras superficies como veredas o asfalto, pero también la imagen destaca el impacto de la sombra de los árboles.
Compartiremos nuestra investigación. Esta es la zona de muestreo en la ciudad, corresponde a calles y a la plaza central. Aquí pueden ver algunas imágenes de nuestras mediciones en diferentes estaciones del año. La cobertura de árboles es escasa, solo en una cuadra alcanza el 50%. En las diagonales de la plaza, la cobertura de árboles es escasa, pero en el sector interno es mayor.
Durante los muestreos siempre estuvo el cielo cubierto de nubes, excepto en primavera que estuvo despejado. Este año llovió algo más que en los anteriores porque ocurrió el fenómeno del Niño. En otoño, la temperatura de la superficie es menor a la temperatura del aire. En invierno, ambas temperaturas son similares. En primavera, la temperatura del aire varía según las distintas superficies, mientras que la temperatura del aire en primavera tiene poca dispersión. En verano, la temperatura de la superficie se dispersa y tiene poca variación. Nosotros encontramos una correlación significativa entre el porcentaje de cobertura de árboles y la temperatura de superficie en verano. Donde hay mayor cobertura de árboles, la temperatura disminuye hasta 5 grados. Por esta razón, los árboles urbanos son importantes reguladores naturales de la temperatura.
Conclusiones. Los árboles también son importantes fuera de los bosques, en particular en las ciudades. Además de muchos otros beneficios, los árboles urbanos ayudan a mantener estable la temperatura del aire, en especial en verano. Si se implantan nuevos árboles en las ciudades, es importante que sean de hoja caduca para que dejen pasar los rayos solares en invierno. Otra recomendación es plantar árboles nativos en las ciudades, porque están mejores adaptados al clima local. Muchas gracias por su atención, estamos disponibles para cualquier pregunta.
Gracias, Ana. Perdón, tenía mi micrófono cerrado. Gracias a tus estudiantes. Bienvenidos. Any question, please?
Anybody who speaks Spanish can question. Anybody can ask question, we can translate. Oh, Sarvagya wants to ask a question. Yes, Sarvagya, go ahead.
No, sir. I forgot to.
Sorry? Okay.
Sir,
Like, currently, nobody has a question. Anna, can you tell a little bit about the science club, because these are new participants, a lot of new participants, and you do some fantastic work, especially with water. So can you tell us about it?
Ana te pregunta, Rajiv, si puedes comentar un poco más acerca del Club de Ciencia, que están haciendo mucho trabajo.
Sí, el Club de Ciencias funciona los sábados o los domingos. Los estudiantes vienen porque quieren, digamos, en forma voluntaria, y realizamos en general investigaciones ambientales. Esta que presentamos sobre árboles, en el verano hicimos una sobre calidad de agua y la calidad de las riberas. O sea, también relacionada con los árboles, la importancia de los árboles ribereños en la calidad del agua.
Okay, the club is working Saturday and Sunday. The students are volunteers, and they work on water quality and also rivers, and always regarding the trees, related to the trees, in summer or in winter. Adelante, Ana.
Después, durante el año, también hemos hecho trabajos de otras temáticas de ciencias no ambientales, como de física de partículas y demás. Pero tradicionalmente lo que más hacemos es investigaciones ambientales.
Okay, they work on environmental science, research on environmental science, but sometimes they also make a research on physics.
Y los estudiantes han sido muchas veces como han generado inspiración en otros jóvenes para empezar a investigar y hacer y a interesarse por temas ambientales.
Well, the students are a source of inspiration for other young people in the country, in the area, and many people is trying to reach the club.
Muchas gracias por la oportunidad de presentar aquí.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to present our project here.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you so much. And I was going to ask when you are coming to India next, because Anna came with two of her students some time back. And it takes a lot of money and a lot of travel time from traveling from Argentina to India. So just requesting her to bring our students, and maybe we can visit Argentina once more. We had a fabulous time in Argentina way back. And Dr. Norma is also here just in this February. And we are hoping to see some students here either from Mexico or Spanish-speaking countries. We're also trying to find a Spanish teacher in our school, because we have French, we have German, we have other languages, but we lack Spanish. So thank you so much for being here. I have on my screen Brigitta Gunawan, who is the next speaker after 3 minutes time.
Gracias, Ana. Gracias a los chicos.
She is National Geographic Young Explorer, Youth Leadership Council of Earth Eco International, and she is also the winner of Ocean Awards Young Initiative by Boat International in partnership with the Blue Marine Foundation. She leads innovative environmental education initiatives to foster meaningful ocean protection in Indonesia and beyond through 30 into 30 Indonesia, a movement igniting community engagement to advance marine protected areas in our country and support the global goal of protecting 30% of the ocean by 2030, 30 into 30. Brigitta has shared her work and story in the world stage, including United Nations Ocean Conference, the Asia Parks Progress, and a Unleashed Global Innovation Lab. And I was waiting for Dr. Norma to be here because she's somebody you should meet. Dr. Norma, can I get you back on the screen for a minute?
Sure, I'm here.
Just a second. So, Brigitta, I needed you to meet Dr. Norma. She was advisor to the Climate Change Council of the President of Mexico, and she has extensive work on oceans. She is an oceanographer as well. I mean, her area of expertise is excellent. And Indonesia, we know, is almost entire nation is covered by sea and oceans. And some of the students, because India is also 70% of India is covered by coastal areas of the oceans. But we in the northern India do not know much about oceans, its impact. I think 70% world population lives on seafood, on fishes and marine life. So it is very important. So I thought Marina might get in touch with Norma, and you can interact a bit, and then I can hand over the session to Brigitta for her presentation.
Nice to meet you, Brigitta.
Yeah, thank you so much, Roger, for the introduction, and it's nice to meet you as well, Norma. I'm really excited to be sharing with the students here. I do recognize there's someone who's been raising their hand in case that was a question for the previous speaker.
Devina, you want to ask a question? Quick question. She always has a question for every guest. So Devina, come on, stop fiddling around the screen and go on. Sure, quickly.
I wanted to ask that what are the
You're not audible.
so now am I audible?
Yes,
What are the sustainable practices which are
you're not audible. When you don't speak, you are quite audible. When you start speaking, then it's problem.
so now am I audible?
Yes.
So what are the sustainable? I wanted to ask that what are the sustainable practices which are followed in Spain in their daily life in Argentina?
There is nobody from Spain here. Anna is from Argentina, Norma is from Mexico, Brigitta is from Indonesia. I'm from Spain.
They are from Argentina.
Argentina. She's asking what are the sustainable practice. It's a very wide question. You give in one example of the sustainable practice that you do in your area. That should be enough.
Sí puede. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
How do you upcycle your paperback books? Because they create a lot of wastage.
Okay. I couldn't understand very clear. Rajiv, can you tell it?
I think I'll take
he's
question little
asking?
later on because Brigitta is getting late for session. We are towards the closer and we have a lot of guests waiting. They're already inside. So Devina will take your question little later on. Okay.
Okay, sir.
If you don't mind, Brigitta, please
Or
go ahead.
she can write it down on the chat.
Yeah, you can type in the chat box.
Yeah, please.
Perfect. I'll just quickly share my screen. I hope you can see it now.
Yes.
Well, thanks for everyone who's here. I wanted to take a moment to really share about my work right now and introduce a new project that I'm working on. But I am currently joining from Melbourne, Australia. I am a full-time Bachelor of Science student here in Melbourne. But I'm also a youth leader organizing my own projects through 30 by 30 Indonesia as a founder, where we are planting corals. We have our own coral garden in Bali. On the northeast coast, and we're working with communities to build a community-centered coral restoration initiative. We started in 2021 through the project called 30 by 30 Indonesia, and that has grown to campaign for what the 30 by 30 goal is, which is to protect at least 30% of the global ocean by 2030, and leading up to its adoption into the G20 Leaders Declaration and also into the Global Biodiversity Framework. And since then, we've grown through the years and we've taken that approach to bring young people to the ocean and the ocean to young people through various ways. And this program is actually what branches off of 30 by 30 Indonesia. And I'd be happy to take some questions later on. But also, 30 by 30 Indonesia wanted to give the opportunity for people, especially young people from various backgrounds, from various countries, to join in on the cause of coral restoration. And that is through this project called Diversities. So for context, our initial tests, our pre-dive surveys have shown that only 6 in 10 people 6 in 10 people have never seen life below water, and less than 1% of the global population are divers. And we also know and recognize that diving is usually the privilege of a small number of people with access to higher education, specialized equipment, and research funding. And so this is where this Ocean Literacy Initiative comes into play. We recognize that there are barriers to people trying to experience the ocean or even to access marine science, and even for people to start getting interested about the importance of ocean issues in the nexus between climate and ocean conservation. There is a lot of barriers to it, especially I come from a city, a landlocked community, despite being in the world's largest archipelago. I still recognize that there are barriers for people who primarily have limited access to coasts and have never experienced that magical beauty of the ocean. And so you maybe find it difficult to recognize how to take action, what it actually means when we say the ocean is important and how the ocean impacts our community more than we realize. So for context, if you didn't know, every second breath we take comes from the ocean. The ocean provides over 50% of the oxygen that we breathe, and it regulates the climate. And that's why it's important for everyone, regardless of where we are, to recognize the ocean as a climate solution. And that's where the focus lies. We're trying to help other young people, other communities to understand that the ocean is important and that we are trying to build a more inspiring and engaging ocean by building those connections, by building that ocean literate society, because we believe that when we value the ocean, we can then have better protection of the ocean and have a more ocean literate society. And that was also part of the UN Decade of Ocean Science. It's a key target in that sense. And there's a whole field that's working on that. And it's really a field to dive deeper into. But my focus here is to talk about our project right now. This is an open source asset for immersive ocean literacy, which means that anyone from anywhere around the world can access the learning curricula that we have. And this includes joining an online through the online module, where every course that you complete, that module that you complete, will plant a coral in 30 by 30 Indonesia's coral garden in Bali. And I will share more about that soon, because I'm inviting you all to join in as well. And the second one is joining in on site. So we will be hosting workshops in various communities in different countries, led by facilitators, by volunteer teams. And you can also join in on our mission from around the world. And moving on, this is the course that I have been talking about. This is a course that plants corals. And what I mean by this is we've created a 30-minute course. It takes actually less than 30 minutes to be introduced into the world of coral conservation, recognizing that corals not only help the marine ecosystems to thrive, but it also helps conserve the communities who are reliant and dependent on marine ecosystems, especially coastal communities. And we have incorporated VR assets, which is virtual reality videos, where you can explore in 360, and I'll walk you through that soon. This is actually an example on the left-hand side where you can actually click and drag on the video and look at what is happening by conservationists who are leading these initiatives. And we use those videos, that VR experience, for people to see the ocean in the lens of a conservationist, a conservation diver, and learn from it through our course. Before I share and walk you through the course itself, and also discuss more about what you can do with the course, I wanted to share this volunteer opportunity and make sure I open it all to you as well, because we are opening applications for remote positions until June 15th. The applications are rolling. If you think you would be able to serve as an education outreach coordinator who helps us identify what communities, what students need, and what sort of exposure the students really need, and what the teachers need in terms of introducing the ocean to communities. That's the role that is suitable for you. And the second role that we're open to is creative writer, where you'll be creating narratives based on facts and science and trying to translate that to a wider audience, specifically targeted at students who are under the age of 25. And the second bit is the school-based facilitators. Now, this is more of a project proposal. So we invite any individuals or teams to create a proposal of how they want to spread the ocean knowledge in their community using our assets, and we will provide you with the mentorship and training because we do have virtual reality 360 dives and degree dives that is from Fiji, from Gili Air, Indonesia, from here in Melbourne, Australia. And we want to make sure that we provide the resources necessary for anyone to sort of introduce what the ocean means to different people and how it's interlinked in many different ways. And I am happy to share with that on that note as well. But if any of you are on Instagram, all of this information is on our Instagram as well. I will quickly be sharing the course that I've been talking about, which is this course. And I will share it in the link as well. So once you click on the course, there were 3 sections. So there's the introduction, where it explains that it's a 30-minute community service course where you'll be introduced to SDG 14, coral conservation, and how it's interlinked to human communities. And you'll be taught what it means when corals are bleached, when it's diseased, and all that sort of basic introduction to coral conservation. And I can tell you now that the key takeaways of this course is to try to recognize things that may not be represented in the media. So when you talk about coral bleaching, we know that we've just heard that we are in a mass bleaching event. The NOAA just announced it recently. And when corals bleach, that's an indication of prolonged warming temperatures. When this is a term used to describe corals that turn white, that means they have expelled their algae and they're in a period of stress, essentially. But a lot of times people assume that all white corals are bleached corals, where in reality it's not. Not all white corals are actually bleached. Some are diseased, like this one in the second picture. Some white tips of the corals, like this one. These ones have white tips, if you can notice that. They actually signify growth, areas of growth. And this one, where you can see like fluorescent colors, this is a period where before the coral turns white and you consider it bleaching, this is a period of stress. So corals can have many different colors. For example, they're purple, green, blue, some are naturally brown. But when they're exposed to prolonged ocean warming that's elevated because of climate change, they go into a period of stress where they might turn fluorescent and neon colors, and then they turn into white, and then you'd consider bleached coral. But bleached corals are actually not dead. They are still alive. If you give them the opportunity to recover, the conditions to do so, they will recover. And some species are more resilient than others. And I can definitely go into much more detail in the science and whatnot, but I'd love to have you just explore this course on your own time later on. And there is a quick recap for each section. This is where the virtual reality dive comes into play. And this is where we're trying to make sure that everyone can engage in the best way possible. So what you can do here is you can access the videos on YouTube through any device, whether it be desktop, your laptop, your phone, because you will be able to click on the video, click play. And because this is a 360 video, you will need to make sure your settings on the quality is as high as possible as your internet allows it, to make sure that you will be able to see the video itself. But what's different from a normal video is you can actually click and drag on the screen, look wherever you are, right, left, top, bottom, and actually hear the narrator talk about this coral conservation group in Indonesia, for this instance. And you'll be learning about that narrator. Right now, you can see us dive underwater. And I'm actually dragging on the screen if you can see. So it's a way for you to explore on your own time. Just enjoy the moment, and it replicates what divers actually see on a dive. As you can see, this is actually an octopus down here. But you can definitely, we talk through this and what it means here through the video. You can definitely explore that as well. The second video is from Fiji, actually, and it's the same thing that goes here. You can click and drag on the screen, and you will actually hear such a beautiful narration by these conservation groups who are leading these initiatives that are making such huge impact on their communities. Now, I wanted to also share that because we are celebrating World Ocean Day this Saturday, it's June 8th. World Ocean Day is on every year on June 8th. We have given the opportunity and this early access to for anyone to complete this course, and whoever completes this course, we will gift you a coral. And what that means is you will be able to name and adopt a coral for yourself once you complete all the sections of this course. And your coral will be planted by 30 by 30 Indonesia's team in Talamban, Bali. And this is the coral garden that we have. It's an artificial reef. And when you do complete this course and name the coral, we will make sure we plant it and update you with what the coral that we've planted for you and tag it with a name that you have chosen. And that's really how we are trying to encourage other young people to use learning as a currency for action. Because I know that a lot of students, a lot of my friends, have always asked me, how can I take action? I'm not near the ocean. I am not familiar. I can't dive yet. And we're trying to connect and bridge these people because it's really important to at least learn about it, start by learning and commit to that curricula, commit to the learning outcomes that we have provided, and use that as to translate into action. And this is what we're doing here. We hope that everyone would be able to join in on this cause by learning, completing the whole course, and we'll plant a coral for you on World Ocean Day. And there is a bonus round at the end where we are giving you 3 riddles to find the mystery animal in the videos. And that's really where you can just, in your own time, that's beyond the course, it's a bonus round, but in your own time, you can find a way to explore which animal the riddle is referring to, and we might even feature you for the right answer. But without further ado, I will stop sharing my screen and I will share the link to the course in the chat. And I'd be happy to take questions, or if anyone wants to even start just opening the course, I can help with any sort of questions that anyone has.
Wait a second,
I shared it with the link to Rajiv.
Yes, please. Yeah. You share in the chat box also. Okay. I need you to meet another interesting because all of your interests are mostly in the same area. Her session begins after 12 minutes, but we have Dr. Chaim Yoden, and she is the head of Blue Economy and Climate Change Cluster at National Maritime Foundation. Now, for Brigida and those who do not know, NMF, National Maritime Foundation, is a think tank, India's first maritime think tank conducting independent and policy relevant research on all matters maritime. It is usually manned by our naval chief, both of them. One of them, Vice Admiral Dr. Pradeep, was always there in the program also. This year is a little busy. And maritime security, blue economy, energy, and everything that relates to maritime is this body's NMF business. And Dr. Yoden, she leads the Blue Economy and Climate Change Cluster, and she has done extensive research on the vulnerability and resilience of coastal cities and maritime infrastructure to climate change. She is from Bhutan, if I'm correct.
From India.
Okay. So far, our general knowledge about Navy is very limited. We think only the Navy is an army's fight wars, but National Maritime Foundation does something else also. And as I said, the knowledge of our students is very less about coastal importance and the blue economy and how much life depends on the oceans. And Bridget just told half our life comes from the oceans itself, more than half the life, isn't it? So you met Dr. Norma Munoj, an oceanographer and the climate change advisor to the President of Mexico, and Chaim Yoden. We have 11 minutes. If any student want to ask any question to Brigita, then hand over to Chaim for our session. We are moving into the last hour of our grand marathon event, the 5th edition of it. So any student want to ask a question, please raise your hand quickly. Otherwise, we'll be sharing a few videos of interest and then we'll move on to Dr. Chaim Yoden. Okay, Brigita, you have already given me this link to share for this volunteer opportunity. Of course, I'll share it not only in India, but other places also where this may be more important, especially for the countries in Thailand and Myanmar. We have a lot of students from Vietnam, Myanmar, and showing a lot of interest in ecology and maritime also. So maybe they will be interested to join in. I'll float it for sure. That's my promise after this event as soon as possible. And Brigita, can you share your journey because they're very young students? How did you start it all from a very young age and where you are currently and getting into the National Geographic Young Explorer? We did have Dr. Niall McCann, who is National Geographic Explorer, and he's the chair board member of Royal Geographical Society. He's an adventurer as well. So can you share your journey in about 2 or 3 minutes time quickly?
Yeah, for sure. So, short story, I started all of this in 2021, which was year 11, year 12 of high school. And that really started.
How old you were then?
I was 17 when I actually started that campaign. So before that, I was like already volunteering for different organizations. With what I knew was that I am bilingual, and that's where I started. So I started by volunteering as a translator in a different organization. But then I saw lots of opportunities from my teachers, so I applied for a lot, and I got selected for a fellowship, and that's where I started 30 by 30 Indonesia. And then I applied for more things, and there's just so many opportunities out there if you look for it. And I kept building on connections, building on the movement, and eventually somehow got recognized for different awards. And thankfully, I've been able to develop my leadership, learn along the way, and join the be selected as a National Geographic Young Explorer last year, and several other awards as well this year and last year. That's where my journey began. And now I'm also studying in university a degree related to conservation, which is all reflecting what I've been trying to do on the ground before I even started uni.
Can you also share how do you manage all this work and your studies together?
Yeah, that's the question I always get. And I think it's a skill that you need to learn from a very early age. I take prioritization very seriously, as in I have to recognize my role. So I had a lot of practice when I was younger, because I was a student athlete. I was a swimmer. I swam competitively on a national stage, and I learned how to juggle swimming and school. And then the pandemic threw it all in balance, and I started going into environmental space. And what I learned was that as a young person, my primary priority should be to study, and that's where I placed my academics. And my secondary priority was my passion. So in any given cause, I would be able to analyze my what's in front of me right that moment and see how to balance it. So I would make sure that I have my studies completely prioritized, and then make sure that I can analyze appropriately, do what I need for the extracurricular activities.
Thank you. Ananya, do you have a question for Brigita quickly?
Yes, a very warm greeting to you. I would like to ask you, what's the one thing that you like
Can you
about
switch off your
coral?
TV or computer, whatever is on in the background, because there's a lot of noise repetition. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yes. So, a very warm greeting to you. I would like to ask you, what's the favorite thing about corals to you? Like,
Yeah, that's a great question. Corals are really resilient. That's why I love them. They are these animals that just withstand such different forces, different conditions, and they're there for a long time unless you are experiencing such dreadful conditions. And I think you can learn from corals in that they're very resilient, and that can be a skill that you can incorporate in your lives as humans. And that's why I love corals so much.
Thank you, Brigita, so much. Anyone else? We can have one more question. Maybe I would ask why it's very inquisitive all the time. Yes, we can see your hand. It's long.
Good morning, ma'am. So, ma'am, what was your inspiration to like take action on the corals and all? Like, what inspired you to do so?
I mean, I have an objection on ma'am because you're making her feel older. She is very young. She just okay. Go on, please.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's a very long, not a very long story, but it's a very impactful moment for me that when it was my first visit to a marine protected area. So I grew up very exposed to the ocean. Even though I was in a city, in a landlocked community, I got to visit several different coasts and ocean. But it was not until my first visit to a marine protected area in Nusa Penida, Bali at 17, where I realized that the ocean was supposed to be teeming with life like that. Like marine protected areas are so different from those that are non-protected. And you can see that marine life just thrives like when you give them the opportunity and space to do so. And that's where I realized that we need more marine protection. And I started learning and learning and learning. And that's where I'm at right now.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Brigita, so much, and hope you can stay a little while longer. We'll be finishing in 1 hour 4 minutes for this fifth edition of this largest and longest environment online event. We have been able to connect it almost across the globe. We had speakers from every corner of this world, from all age groups, and you'll be happy to know. I think I already messaged you, but this was also taken up by UN, and they have put on the event list on event decade on restoration. We are very thankful to UNEP, and we had Natalia Alexieva and Samantha yesterday from UNEP, and they've been very supportive of supporting the youth. And we are trying to act as a bridge between connecting people from diverse backgrounds, and these students have an option to join whatever they like in life. But sustainability, climate action, and environmental awareness got to be at the core of everybody's life these days, and we know consequences. Thank you so much from you have joined from Australia. It's quite an hour there. I know it's time for you to check up. I've been to Indonesia and I love the country because of the people and the open nature of Indonesians that we always had in our conferences too. So we are looking forward to seeing you more in our next events, and let's see how we can connect more and more, and how can the students be possible volunteer opportunity for your projects. Thank you so much. I'll now turn to Dr. Chaim. She's waiting for her turn in 3 minutes.
Yes, sure. Please allow me to share my presentation.
Yes, you can share.
Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the participants who have joined from different time zones. And before I start, I would like to thank the organizers and also the previous speaker, who is quite inspirational. And so a happy World Environment Day to each one of you. And I know that World Environment Day, we shouldn't celebrate only for one day. It should be every day, because given the criticality of the situation. So my name is Chimi Yuden, and I work with the National Maritime Foundation, as Rajiv have already mentioned, but then I would like to also give a brief overview of it as well. So I have two segments in my presentation today. First, I'll discuss a bit about the National Maritime Foundation, where I work at, and who we are and what we do. And the second segment, I will discuss about the systemic risk management of climate change. Taking the seaport ecosystem as a case study is a project that I'm currently working on. So if we look at the overview of the National Maritime Foundation, it's a non-governmental, non-political and autonomous maritime think tank, only think tank registered as a society under the Society Registration Act. The foundation was inaugurated by then Raksha Mantri, which is Defense Minister, later who became the Honorable President of India, late Shri Pranab Mukherjee, on 15 February 2005. And the NMS vision statement is that it is to be the foremost resource center for development and advocacy of strategies for the promotion and protection of India's maritime interests. When we talk about the maritime interests, the principal maritime interests of India is that what NMF and we project or highlight is that holistic maritime security. The holistic maritime security is freedom from threats arising in or through or from the sea. It has, as you can see, there's two components, which is for a blue economy, which then is a holistic, and the maritime hard security. As Sir already mentioned that at the National Maritime Foundation, we not only look on the maritime hard security, we focus more on the blue economy, which is the maritime security, which involves all of blue shipping, energy, environment, biodiversity, BBNG challenges, PNG challenges, ocean health, ecology, climate change resilience, marine pollution, marine crime, national disaster, which both this aspect, maritime hard security and blue economy, then being looked or being studied from legal framework as well, which is public maritime, international maritime. So to promote all these or to achieve the holistic maritime security, we have diverse or we drive these area of research interest that covers a wide range of areas, which including maritime security, geostrategies of different areas. And also we, as I already mentioned, we do blue economy, climate change, ocean resources, both living and non-living, which being discussed a bit in the previous discussion as well. Then we also have a cluster who works on public international maritime law, because ocean is very diverse and complex, and also it's mostly the global resources. So legal aspect of it is very important. So, and also we do study on the maritime history, maritime heritage, maritime culture, and the all maritime related issues. So this is being studied to protect from sea threats to India's territorial integrity and ensure stability and create and develop and sustenance of blue economy. And then we also focus mostly on the holistic maritime security and all of this, as I briefly mentioned. So second segment of my presentation, so now you know a bit about what the institution is. Under that framework, under the Blue Economy and Climate Change framework, we are currently working on the systemic risk management of climate change, how interconnected challenges in today's world are impacting this sea port ecosystem, both infrastructure and operation. And previously we studied how climate change is threat to seaport operation. And now this is the upscale of kind of larger project on the systemic risk. If I give a brief background of it, we face several interconnected challenges in today's world due to globalization, urbanization, and technological advancement. So all of these brings both progress and risks, such as disruptive events, including man-made and natural, which impact the sectors in industries, And also the stresses like climate change, aging population, natural disaster also gets impacted the whole of the system. So if you can see that the Global Risks Report 2023 has come out with the report saying that the sectors from the economic, environment, geopolitical, social, and technology all are heavily interconnected and interrelated. And there are notes that when there's a disruption in one of the sector gets then cascade and impacts across the sector. So this is something that we are trying to understand and map it into the seaport. So this is the one example where it all clearly says that interconnectedness between the global systemic risks. If I give a brief example, if when this increase in greenhouse gases emissions from different sectors, from power, heat, transport, food production, industry, buildings, and landfills, all of these then kind of impacts on the increase in air temperature. It also leads to increase in sea level rise, increase in frequency and intensity of extreme weather events like cyclone, then which gets then impacted or it's like has cascade the impact on the crop failure, loss of livestock, damage to infrastructure, disruption to supply chains, disruption in supply of basic services like water, sanitation, energy, food transportation. One of the very good example we could how system get impacted could be the COVID pandemic, how one system could cascade it into all of that. All of this could then lead to social unrest, and due to resources conflict in the resources access, and also this could lead to climate refugees and climate environment refugees, which then also has impact on the social unrest and conflict. So this is a very nice chain of impact that we could see cascade into different layers of impact. And also systemic risk itself is very high complex. It's like highly complex. And also it's like mostly unnoticed prior to disasters in the public or policy making preview. So it's very complex, and also it's a non-linear and has a trigger points. And these trigger points and then the impact is also very unexpected, and there's most of the systemic risk is transboundary and global in nature because it doesn't stop in one region. It could impact at a very high level. So given that growing acknowledgement for the need to look at the systemic risks holistically, however, current framework does not show the pathway to operationalize of systemic risks. Its systemic risks have been mostly looked from the financial point of view, not from the climate and disaster point of view so far. So we at the NMF and with the collaborating with the CTRI, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, and Kyoto University from Japan, we are trying to frame a systemic risk for seaport ecosystem, trying to come up with a framework how to assess the systemic risks. So as we know that global system is complex, we have of tightly coupled interactions that drive our economies and societies. So interconnectedness also exposes us to catastrophic outcomes. So there's a growing recognition to need to address risks holistically. So we are trying to look from the seaport because seaports are critical nodes in global trade networks and also very vulnerable to various risks. If you can see on the slide, there's especially we are trying to look from the climate change point of view, also extreme weather point of events, and also these impact operations and broader economic landscape. So we are trying to look into this because before I go into the details, if I could give you a brief example of seaport landscape. Seaport is not only at the sea or at the port because it's connect across the hinterland, because at the sea side we have shipping networks, and at the port side we have the port as a whole ecosystem, and the hinterland then it has the supporting services like port connectivity, like railways, roadways, and also networking, network communication systems as well. So when we are studying the seaport, we are studying all sectors across the shipping network, port and hinterland as well, which is of the landlocked. So there are several disruptions when we study the systemics, but then we are not looking all of these disruptions, and I'll come back to that later. So when we study the systemic risks, we are trying to understand the absorptive capacity. If there's any disruption that occurs, do they have restorative capacity? Where do they have? How do they respond? How do they recover? And what are the adaptive capacity? Do they have flexibility of the system? What is the agility of the infrastructure? And then do they collaborate between the sectors, different across the sectors? How are they communicating across the hinterland port and shipping network? So this is something that we are trying to understand. So this is the first project that we did, systemic risk assessment of Paradip Port. Paradip Port is one of the major port in the eastern part of India, and we try to risk to the port that which arises from dependence on proper functioning of its infrastructure asset, all personnel to continue its operation at maximum efficiency. So when we risks, we try to define from scale 1 to 5. Scale 1 meaning no risks, 2 is low risk, 3 is moderate risk, where the port's operation gets shut down for hours, and 4 is where the significant risks, where the port operation gets shut down for days, and 5 is extreme risks, where the port operation gets shut down for weeks, more than weeks. So when we went to the port to understand, it is mostly on the perception-based study, where the port authority has given us, if you see the y-axis, we have the hazard, extreme temperature, extreme precipitation, extreme weather events, which is cyclonic storms, and then we have extreme severe cyclonic storm and sea level rise. And then we have the y-axis, we have the as asset of the ports at the seaside, at the port side. And then our port authority have identified saying that, so in terms of breakwater at the seaside, breakwater is very vulnerable to extreme weather events, which is cyclonic storms. And also it's more vulnerable when there's extreme severe cyclonic storms. But they, as you can see, that cyclonic storm is being identified as the most which port are most vulnerable and as most vulnerable. So we have now studying the systemic risks of port ecosystem. We are focusing mostly on the extreme weather events and flooding. So this is based on that, we are trying to build a framework for the seaport, where we are trying to understand the scale of the risks and then hazard. As I already mentioned, that we are focusing mostly on the hydrological, and then trying to understand the vulnerability of it and exposure of population, GDP, and national capital and infrastructure, and studying the 5 systems, which is human, ecological, economic, and political, cultural, and financial. And these systems are being then defined with the boundaries, and then subsystems are also identified, and port department, which is the core stakeholders in these all 5 systems, and then external stakeholders which are also involved, which gets impacted if there's any of such disruptions that happens in relation to cyclone and flooding. So we are trying to understand the system risks across the cutting of these 5 systems, and again, it's based on the perception studies. Systemic risks within a port ecosystem can be categorized into 3 impacts, which is primary impacts, which is immediate consequences, and secondary impact, which is indirect consequences, and then the tertiary impacts, which is long-term systemic ramifications. So addressing these impacts requires a coordinated and strategic. So what we have come up with is, you can see that all 5 systems and then different components of it are like overall criticality is quite high, except the education system, which is medium, and the cultural diversity, which is again low, and then the financial institution, air, water quality, medium. Rest, it's really high. So this is still the project is still in the progress, so I couldn't show the full results. So this is what we are trying to do, and this is what the result looks like. And so in conclusion, what I wanted to say is addressing climate threats to maritime security requires multifaceted approach that integrates risk assessment, resilience planning, and strategic governance. By understanding and managing systemic risks, we can protect our maritime infrastructure and ensure the sustainability of maritime economy, and then the conservation aspect of the coastal ecosystem as well. So it's required urgency of addressing climate systemic risks. So these are how I think that approach should be changed, and we have to write. So far, systemic risks is not being studied much, not being incorporated in the current framework of climate change policies. So that's something that we are trying to influence the government and push the government. With that, I end my presentation here. Thank you so much. I welcome any questions and comments.
Chaim, thank you so much. You would stop sharing your screen, then
yes.
Yes. Thank you so much for your lovely presentation and the fantastic work that NFF does. I've been trying to connect NFF because I've got so busy with young kids also. So possibly I'll get hold of your Vice Admiral and the head of NFF and you and Captain Saman, and there's so many people I know at NFF, because the young kids, the students need to know the kind of work you are doing it. And as I said, there is not much awareness about coastal oceans, our dependence on oceans, the blue economy. Although India has covered 70% area we have as coastal area. So it's a very nice conversation, and that's why I was so interested in getting you here. And I remember Vice Admiral Pradeep Chauhan is such a good speaker. I thought he'll be talking some technical stuff, but 2 years back when he first joined our program, he was so good with explaining things to students that we as teachers cannot do that also. And we had initiated a conversation on this lot of hype on electric cars, electric batteries. Nobody realizes the consequence of what we are doing today. So everybody goes gaga or something new comes in. Like when the plastic came in for the first time, everybody is so happy because they thought it will cut down less trees, because plastic is such a durable item. But today plastic has become a curse to the humankind. So same is everybody is going gaga with electric cars, electric batteries. They don't know where these batteries are sourced. So Vice Pradeep had enlightened the fact that what we need to do is to restrain our actions, because every action has consequences. It may not be apparent today, it will be apparent many, many years later on. It becomes such a nuisance that we cannot control it then. So thank you so much for being with us. Any questions anybody wants to ask Dr. Chaim? Don't think it's too technical, so you can come down to your level and explain to you. Arya, you want to ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, we all know nuclear energy is a sustainable kind of energy. And we also know that these nuclear plants are situated onshore, or rather, or instead on upstream of a river. And we also are enlightened with the fact that major environmental concerns related to the nuclear power can be the thermal load on the sea caused by cooling water, and the nuclear waste produced by the. So, do we plan to make more nuclear plants, or how do we do it with the concern of the.
Thank you, Arya, for your question. And yeah, nuclear power right now, being they are trying to utilize this as a renewable energy. More than that, India currently is focusing on the green hydrogen and blue hydrogen. We already have a policy that came out last year. So India also is now focusing to go offshore wind farms and offshore green hydrogen. That is something that India is right now focusing. Of course, nuclear power is something that other countries are focusing on. That also requires lots of resources, capability, and capacity, which currently India is not that much of the priority. It's mostly on the offshore and the green hydrogen. And also green shipping is something that India is now trying to reach to International Maritime Organization's goal. So we're trying to, there's a green shipping project that NMF is also involved, where we are trying to see how can we change the fuel and how do we retrofit the ship as a whole to accommodate all of that. Thank you. And before this, sir, can I say one thing to young participants here? So at the National Maritime Foundation, we have an internship, very intensive internship course for 3 to 6 months. And if you are interested, you can sign up for that, because we have every year 2 batch of interns that come, and we do very intensive teaching on maritime issues related to all of like geopolitics, to blue economy, to public maritime international law, all of it. We do intensive teaching. It's free of course.
Thank you, Dr. Chaim. Share the details with me, and certainly we will distribute in our groups, and there many students interested, because they're already watching whatever you guys are doing. Why I have Mary Turunen from Finland. She is an environmental education specialist of Schoolnet Association, one of the parent organizations that I worked for a long years, and I'm still country coordinator for the organization for past 24 years. So Mary, welcome. I think we have few minutes. I think we'll skip the presentation and we'll just talk to you. Dr. Chaim Yoden is from National Maritime Foundation. So Mary, you want to say something? Anything?
Thank you, Rajiv. Well, first of all, happy World Environment Day. It's today. And congratulations for you and for your team for setting up this great, huge event once again. And thanks for the invitation to join. I'm very happy and pleased to be here and see all of you. Greetings from Finland.
So we have had just to brief you on, we had a very interactive and very packed session for almost last 23 hours, 23 hours and 30 minutes. And in about 9 minutes time, we're expecting Shri Atul Bagai, who is the country head, who was the country head of United Nations in India for until March 31st. And he has kindly consented to be here for the closing session. And he's currently busy with so many things, moving his home, everything like that. So when he comes in, and he'll be here briefly for the 10 or 15 minutes. Meanwhile, we still have 9 minutes to go. I had Anna, we had NO coordinator for all over the world. We had UNEP joining the program, and as informed everybody, this event was also listed on UN Decade on Restoration as a event to be followed. So that's a great news. But the prime focus, again, I repeated, the prime focus is engaging youth, and in fact, very young students from all across the planet, especially for our schools that we work with. So there were at least 50 kids who have been working for almost 3-4 weeks preparing for this event. And they had a very eventful 6 hours of discussions last evening. When we were sleeping, most of us in India, they were discussing and they were putting up their presentations. So it's about igniting the little mind. And the prime idea behind having this event is to connect them with different kind of work, different individuals, different organizations that are doing the same thing in different manner. So they can take up any way forward, join any organization, be anything they want to be. But as we said, environmental sustainability and our lives are most important, and they need to be integrating in their daily lifestyle rather than as a separate project work. So thank you, Dr. Chaim. Mary, Jyoti Madam, she is principal from the Sri Ram Universal School. We are so grateful to having assisted us with this event. JK sir is already there with me. He's their director. Anna from Argentina, my good friend. So anybody wants to make any statements, you have few minutes, then we will welcome Atul sir, and then we play a few videos, and then we are at the end of the 5th edition, but the beginning of the next one.
Rajiv, I'll ask for my both names start from Jyoti only. Jyoti
Yeah,
Rana.
you have double ignited lamps.
Yes, Jyoti ma'am, you want to say something? You can unmute yourself.
So it's good to be in the same frame as the students. Prashasti.
Jyoti Rana ma'am is there. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Namaste, everyone. And first of all, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Rajiv Srivastav and our director JK sir for this platform. When we heard about it from our director sir, we were not sure of the magnanimity and the hugeness and the kind of impact that this platform was making. I went through the websites, I went through some of the old programs, and I realized the kind of awareness that is being brought about for one of the most important topics and the burning issue, which is our environment. Environment is something which we really take for granted, and it's across the world that we are taking it for granted. I think we need to do our part, and being a head of an institution, an educationist, I feel our part is to make our children aware of this issue of making little changes. It starts with turn off your lights, don't waste your water, be mindful of how you dispose your litter, use the 3 R's constantly. It starts with little things like this, and that's where children can start making bigger changes once they become aware of it. And I'm very happy to share with everybody here that at the Sri Ram Universal School, we are constantly undertaking activities and programs. Rather, I can very proudly say that environment is one of the major issues that we take up here. It is very much rolled into our day-to-day activity. It is rolled into our teaching learning practices. It's not something that we need to specifically take up separately. We do that too, but it is something that we take care of throughout every day. And I can see Prasasti shaking her head, agreeing with me on that. Thank you, Beta. I think, Rajiv sir, it has been such a wonderful last 23 hours. I did get my fair share of sleep. So kudos to you for, continuing with this. And our director, sir, he's so full of energy and so gusto about this, saving the environment. My compliments and congratulations for being added to the UN list as well. I think persistence is the key to success for anything, but something so good that was started 20 years ago and you persistently kept on. I'm sure you've gone through multiple hurdles to be able to get to where you are today, to be able to bring the kind of platform for the children, something which is being shared by like-minded youth and individuals across the world. I think persistence is what has helped you. And I think that is what is going to help us save the environment. Persistently, constantly making our children aware and ourselves taking the time to make sure that we do our little part every day. So that's what I would like to say. And I've been there. This has been such an eye-opener, the kind of work that everybody is doing. Kudos to each and every one of you. And I'm so glad that we got connected on this platform. We'll do our fair bit and hopefully, present the kind of work that our kids are doing next year on this platform as well. Thank you so much. And once again, congratulations and go act now.
Thank you, Jyoti, so much. Let me welcome Atul sir. I'm so grateful, sir, for you to be there. He's in the middle of packing his things because, he may be moving. So he's taken time off to be with us. I'm so grateful because just a brief introduction of sir for the especially young kids who may not know much about him. Atul sir is until end of March, he was the head of United Nations Environment Program in India. And I've been in touch with him since 2020 when we got the UNEP, when Decade on Restoration was announced by UN and Generation Restoration was muted by Department of Ecosystem Division, and Tim Christopherson was with us in Kenya. And sir has always been responding despite his difficult schedule. And this year he is live with us. So thank you so much. I must tell you that UNEP's presence in India and its foothold is because of Atul sir. People did not know much about UNEP's work, but when he joined in and he took a hold of UNEP office in India, it was Atul sir who actually put the footprint for UNEP in India. Now everybody, I think, every event, every program that is launched by UNEP, including the SDGs and afterwards generation restoration and decade restoration, was an initiation by Atul sir. I can't tell much about him because you can Google him and find all the information. It's been a very, you say, very somber personality, and he has led so many things in across the world, and of course for India in climate change, chemical waste and air quality, environmental governance, resource efficiency, environment under review, healthy and productive ecosystem, resilience to disaster and conflicts. He was a career diplomat for all the students who are watching or want to follow a career in diplomacy and politics. Not politics exactly, diplomacy. You have an example to learn from Atul sir. And he has worked in several areas, senior positions in both UP government, central government, and as a veteran at the United Nations. He has spent over 2 decades in spearheading challenging assignments in region across South and Southeast Asia and the Pacific Islands. Atul sir, thank you so much for being here. I know that you are briefly here for about 15 minutes, something like that. So I will hand it over to you for your brief address to the students, especially keeping in mind they are very young students who have been working almost for 4 or 5 weeks and throughout the year to engage themselves, their minds into climate actions, environmental awareness, not for themselves, but to educate other people also. And just to brief you on the event itself, we started on a good note. This is the 5th edition of this world's longest and largest online network, which I'll tell you, it started in 2020 because we have been working with Environment Online since 2020, since 2000 years. For 24 years, I've been India coordinator. And what happened because of Corona, we could not have our physical conferences. So we thought we'll connect everybody across the world using our network, and we're celebrating 20 years. So in 2020, we started this 24-hour event. And now it has taken such a huge shape. It become a connecting platform for all the individuals, organizations, students, youth, people from all across ages, life, work, and cultures to join together. And this exposes our young kids to take up anything they want to do in life, keeping sustainability, environmental awareness, and climate action at the core of their heart. So I will hand it over to Atul sir for a brief address and whatever he wants to say, and then take up a few questions from the students. I hope that solves, and then we'll play out a few videos and we'll end the session at 12 o'clock sharp today. Atul sir.
Thank you, Rajiv ji, for inviting me in my new retired capacity, and thanks a lot for your very, very kind words. I myself didn't know I had done so much of work, as you have said, so I'm not sure I am capable of having such accolades. But yes, it has been a very, very satisfying journey with the government and with the United Nations, and one has really enjoyed working on the field of environment. And a very, very happy World Environment Day to everyone who's present here, to all children, to you and to your team. And it's yet another event, another day to reiterate the importance of environment, and this theme being the land restoration. It's a very, very challenging problem we're all facing. But I think I was more enamored by the title of your event, Tomorrow Never Comes. And there would have been a more smart reality in the field of environmental mitigation than the title you have given for your event. Because the way we are going in terms of degrading our environment and working in a very unsustainable manner, tomorrow may never come. In the sense, if we don't act today, we may not see tomorrow. And that's a very frightening thought, if you think about it. And also it's a frightening thought from the perspective of our generation, my generation, where we haven't acted in a very sustainable fashion. And we are leaving behind a world so devastated, an environment so devastated for our children and grandchildren. And that is something that I feel very strongly about, that for our mistakes, it would be our children and grandchildren who would be paying the penalty and the price of the mistakes that we committed. And this is a fact that I think this generation of ours needs to realize that we need to act now, we need to act today. Because if we leave everything tomorrow for our children, for our grandchildren, it's really too late. I remember the words of our UN Secretary General, Mr. Guterres, who was speaking to graduates at the Columbia University last year or a year and a half back. And he said that it appears that we are all waging a war against nature, that we are at war with the nature around us, which is a very stark truth that is being said by the Secretary General. Why is it that we are waging a war against nature that really protects us? Because without nature around us, it will be extremely difficult for humankind to survive on this earth. Yet, knowing this scientific fact, we yet are, because of our developmental concerns, development constraints, development needs, we are trying to act in the most unsustainable way. I'm also very apologetic to the younger generation. I think this whole event, online event, the main target group is the youth. And I would like to apologize to the youth, to the young people, to the children, that on behalf of my generation, that we haven't acted wisely, we haven't acted in a sustainable fashion, and we have created a problem that is going to be solved by you all. So while you should be enjoying the nature around you, while you should be enjoying the water and the beaches and the mountains and the trees, you are spending your youth in trying to conserve or preserve or restore. And that's something which is happening because, as I said, we did act wisely. But I'm sure during this World Environment Day, we will all resolve to see that we are able to restore our land, restore our forests, restore our water, seas, oceans, rivers, in a way that we are able to live sustainably. And in this whole endeavor, which was office 5 years, 6 years back, has been trying to work with the governments, work with the civil society, work with industry, to take around the message of restoration, of eco-restoration, of conservation. And since children are the target group here, UNEP runs a very successful program along with the World Wildlife Fund and Center for Environment Education, a program that's called Tide Turners Challenge, Tide Turners Plastic Challenge. And I'll request Rajiv ji to connect with Gayatri in the UNEP office. It's a program for school children and college children who look at plastic as a challenge and to adopt and devise innovative measures how to address the plastic. It's been a very successful program. We have been able to, in the last three and a half years, been able to cover almost about 6.5 lakh students, and it's going to go on for another 2 years. So I would request if your organization can work with UNEP to see how we can enroll many more schools, many more school children in this very, very important program. We have recently also signed a MOU with Afroz Shah, who you all know is the champion of the earth, an award that UNEP gives. And we signed an MOU with him also to see that the Maharashtra school children can be part of this endeavor. So I'll close now with this request to Rajiv ji to connect with the UNEP India office to see how we can work together on this Tide Turners Challenge. Thanks a lot for inviting me, and it's certainly an honor to be part of this biggest event online on environment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I request to be with us for at least 10 minutes and I will connect with the approach. I know I am in touch with him, and I'll certainly quote you also and get in touch with Gayatri as well. I would want you to see a small video that we have composed a theme song for this event using artificial intelligence. It's a 3-minute long video. And then a couple of questions that the student want to ask you. And then, sir, I'll be thanking you once more. So, JK, sir, can you play that track B1, and then we can put some student to ask Atul sir question, which are ready with that.
In a world so big, we often feel small, but together we can make a difference, standing tall. With every step we take, we're creating change, and now's the voice that echoes through the range. Rise up, let's make a stand for the earth and all its wonders. Hand in hand with the future, we hold the key. Together we can save the world, you and me. Ooh, yeah! Through the power of knowledge, we're lighting minds, spreading the message, one student at a time. From mountains to oceans, we'll protect the land. With that now, united we'll make a stand. We'll make a stand. In a world so big, we're small, but together we can make a difference, standing tall. With every step we take, we're creating change, and now's the voice that echoes through the range. Rise up, let's make a stand for the earth and all its wonders. Hand in hand with the future, we hold the key. Together we can save the world, you and me. Ooh, yeah! Through the power of knowledge, we're lighting minds, spreading the message, one student at a time. From mountains to oceans, we'll protect the land. With that now, united we'll make a stand. We'll make a stand. In a world so big, we're small, but together we can make a difference, standing tall. With every step we take, we're creating change, and now's the voice that echoes through the range. Rise up, let's make a stand for the earth and all its wonders. Hand in hand with the future, we hold the key. Together we can save the world, you and me. Ooh, yeah!
Now, which one, Rajiv?
Just Atul sir is here, some questions for him. And then
Okay, fine.
So I hope he is still here. Thank you, sir. That is the theme song that was composed using artificial intelligence, creating lyrics and music and instruments also. We have a few questions from students who have been keeping it ready for you. So I'll ask them to ask it quickly because we have limited time. Parminder, can you ask your question, please, quickly?
Right, sure, sir. Greetings, Atul sir. I'm Barminder. I'm a young climate optimist from India. So first of all, happy Environment Day, sir. Today, now that we're talking about environment and we have the great man who has been behind all the progress that India has made with the United Nations Environment Program, that is you, Atul sir, I'd like to ask you, can you please elucidate where India stands with respect to our Sustainable Development Goal deadline by 2030, especially considering the fact that despite the large amount of money India, as a member nation of the UN, dedicates to our SDGs, a few goals still seem to be left out in terms of financial aid and sometimes even action?
Sir, you're mute.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. Thanks a lot for a very good question. And first, a very happy Environment Day to you too. And you've raised a very, very important point. SDGs, of course, are the main focus of any country, not only India. And 2030 is the target. And you're right to say that in many of the targets and many of the goals, India has performed very well. But there are certainly a few areas where the performance hasn't been of a satisfactory level. But needless to say that the government, central government and the state governments are devoting a lot of their resources, a lot of their time to seeing how these targets can be achieved. The UN as a whole, I'm not talking of UNEP now, but UN as a whole is supporting Niti Aayog in fulfillment of the SDGs at a national level and at the state level. And there is a very robust mechanism between Niti Aayog and the UN to keep an eye on the progress on these SDGs. But yes, a lot more needs to be done if we have to achieve all the targets and all the goals by 2030.
Then we have another student, Mai. So thank you, Barminder. Thank you so much for your question. We are short of time. Mai, you can go next.
Yes,
Quickly.
sir. So my question was that are there any emerging technologies or innovative practices that you believe hold a great promise for environmental conservation?
Yes, meaning emerging technologies, emerging innovations is the mainstay of environmental mitigation. The new technologies that are coming in, the new innovations that are coming in by not only India but by various other countries are actually what is giving us hope that in future we'll be able to not only achieve our SDG goals but also make a difference in the various environmental fields where we need new technologies. So whether it is solar,
I think there is a bit of
I lost, I think, the connection for a
yes.
brief
Now you're back in.
15 seconds, but I'll certainly highlight that yes, globally and in India, the people are really working on finding new technologies, new solutions in every field where environmental mitigation has to be done.
I will have the last question from Anna Bhatia. Then I'll request JK sir to prepare the screen for a screenshot, and then we'll go to the closing session. So Anna Bhatia, ask your question quickly to sir.
Yes, sir. Greetings, sir. A very happy Environment Day to you. And sir, today my question for you is that, in one statement, what message do you have for the coming generation to encourage them to believe that the biggest threat to Earth is believing that someone else will come and save it?
I think I lost the connection again. Can
We
the
can hear you,
question be
sir.
repeated?
Repeat the question, Anna.
Yes,
Yeah, I
sir.
couldn't hear the
So my
question.
question is that, in one statement, what message would you give to the coming generation to encourage them and other people as well to believe that the biggest threat to us is believing that someone else will come and save it?
Sir, she's asking what
Yeah,
can we
I
tell
heard that.
them to do what we couldn't do ourselves.
Yeah, no, I heard that, and I think my one line message is certainly that this is a challenge that needs to be tackled. There are solutions available, and we all need to act today, as tomorrow never comes, to address this whole degradation that is happening all around us. And I think the younger generation needs to play a very, very prominent role, and they are playing a very prominent role in this.
Thank you,
Yes.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
We'll prepare the screen for a screenshot, and then we'll head into the last 10 minutes of our session. JK sir, can I ask you to get all the names on the screen?
Yes.
And after the screenshot, if I have the permission to leave.
Sir, 2 minutes with you, with you only. So with this, we are into the last 9 minutes of this marathon 24-hour conference. I think Atul sir's net is still giving a bit of trouble. We'll just wait for a while. There are a lot of background noises. So we are into the last 8 minutes of this conference. So very quick comment from JK sir. I'm not sure whether Ronnie sir is here or not. Norma ma'am, you want to say something? One single sentence.
Thank you so much. Just that it was amazing journey. It was beautiful, and congratulations to all of you. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Thank you, ma'am. Jyoti ma'am is left. One of Jyoti ma'am is left. So one
Jyoti
compliment
ma'am is
coming from
there.
you.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you, Rajiv sir. I was very much here. And last 24 hours, I must say it was amazing. Not only the speakers, the lineup of speakers, but also the children. I was very keenly watching the children and their questions. And I felt that, the people who are inheriting the earth from us are the people who are very much aware, and earth is in safe hands. So I must applaud all the children present here, and I'm sure that you are going to take the message forward to others from here. And as schools, a lot is on our shoulders, because these young lives and these young minds are under our care. And if we ignite the fire in the correct way at the correct time, I'm sure such events, Rajiv sir, I must congratulate you and JK sir for introducing us to this event. And through this, these 24 hours that we have spent with you on and off, we covered areas where the problem lies, along with the kind of solutions that can be brought in. And, the first thing that the thought has to be ignited at Shriram schools, we've been doing that since the very beginning, whether it was rainwater harvesting, or saying no to mongoose hair brushes, or for that say fighting for free passages for elephants. And today in the morning I heard Rashmi saying that NGT has banned so many hotels in that area, Bandhavgarh Resort, so that the elephants can get a free passage. So kudos to all these efforts. And I'm sure with such events, such programs, and we as adults doing our bit, and these children taking the rein forward, I think we are acting in the correct direction, and the time to act is now, actually. So children, kudos to all of you. Thanks to all the participants, all the speakers. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you, Jyoti ma'am, so much. And we are also into the time. We will require 3 minutes to end this session with our theme song. But the 2 minutes, I will conclude the session. I would like to thank JK sir, because he is there always like a shadow. Ronnie sir is currently taking class. I don't know, sleeping. All the students are prime focus. I'm grateful to you and your parents behind your back. I think the kids have always a fight with parents using mobile, internet, waking up late and being on Instagram or Facebook. But this time, I think they must be very happy because they're using Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, waking up late nights and using internet for some very good use. So I think the parents also are very thankful, because they must have enabled these students to be here, and they must be at the back supplying them food, water, drinks, and being on their security all night. Because if the kids are waking, they can't sleep it as well. And they're not invisible on the screen also. So if you can hear my message, thank you so much. Our effort is paid for if we are able to ignite a little bit of spark in everybody's heart. I will conclude on that note, and I'll request JK sir to play the last song, V1 track. But I will conclude. Jyoti ma'am said one thing: the earth is in safe hands. The question is, whose hand is it anyway? Is it us? Is it the diplomats? Is it the teachers? Is it the young audience? Is it the youth or the children? I think it should be in safe hands of everyone's, because until everybody joins their hand to put it safe together, nobody alone can do it. Thank you so much for being with us. And I will have 1 minute to JK sir, and then I will request you to play
Yes.
track V1 and then conclude the session for this
Okay.
evening.
Thank you very much, Rajiv. Before starting that video, I would like to say thank to all the modern school students, teachers, and DPS Greater Faridabad, Shri Ram Universal School student, and students from Grade International School and Das and Browns School. All students, thanks, and you need a big round of applause from all of us because you have not slept throughout the night. So thank you very much. Now, once again, repeating the same sentence, that safe hand, whose safe hand, according to Rajiv. So thank you very much, all of you. Now I'm going to play the video number, Rajiv.
V1.
In a world so big, we often feel small, but together we can make a difference, standing tall. With every step we take, we're creating change, and now's the voice that echoes through the range. Rise up, let's make a stand for the earth and all its wonders. Hand in hand with the future, we hold the key. Together we can save the world, you and me. Ooh, yeah. Through the power of knowledge, we're lighting minds, spreading the message, one student at a time. From mountains to oceans, we'll protect the land. With that now, united we'll make a stand. We'll make a stand. In a world so big, we're small, but together we can make a difference, standing tall. With every step we take, we're creating change, and now's the voice that echoes through the range. Rise up, let's make a stand for the earth and all its wonders. Hand in hand with the future, we hold the key. Together we can save the world, you and me. Ooh, yeah. Through the power of knowledge, we're lighting minds, spreading the message, one student at a time. From mountains to oceans, we'll protect the land. With that now, united we'll make a stand. We'll make a stand. In a world so big, we're small, but together we can make a difference.